What is going on, everyone? Welcome to yet another Warski Live. How you all doing? Today is a debate that we've seen videos back and forth from people who believe in flat Earth and people going against the flat Earth. But it is a very rare occasion that people actually debate about this. And JF, could I ask you what is going on, everyone? Sorry. Oh Welcome to yet another Warski Live. How you all doing? I sound good. At least the mic sounds good. I know it sounds good. Sorry, it was just echoing there. JF, when I asked you a few days ago, hey, do you think this will be an easy debate? You said the contrary. You said this will be the hardest debate you will ever be part of.
Absolutely. I'm still convinced of that. These are experts at trolling. They know everything. They've prepared a little response to everything. We're faced with the greatest trolling movement in the history of humanity. I'm going to take it face to face, 1v1. I'm going to debunk it tonight.
Oh, beauty. Now, JF, can you introduce who we have actually against you today? Because who came out of the woodworks for this one?
So this is SB Alger. SB, I think you should introduce yourself. He talked to me on Twitter, and he is a flat earther from what I understand. Hi, SB.
Hello, everyone. And yeah, I was trolling the boards, 4chan, and I kept ignoring the blood sports threads because I thought, oh, whatever, more ethno state bullshit. And so I finally clicked on it, and I immediately became hooked because you guys are entertaining and hilarious. And so I went and watched most of the Sargon stream with Richard Spencer, and I was like, okay, this shit is funny and great. And I noticed in the chat people kept saying, flat Earth debate win, and I've been studying the flat Earth for about 3 years, trying to as hard as I can to debunk it, and I'm just not convinced that I can debunk it. I'm not convinced anyone can debunk it. And so I kicked you guys $5. I still think you should check out E. Michael Jones on a different tip. Eventually, JF, you need to look at E. Michael Jones. But for now, tonight, I'm going to give you one chance right now, JF, to back out and just admit that you're already a flat earther. If you want to just go ahead and confess, we can just talk about the flat earth. But if you want to take the opposing side, I'm ready when you are.
SB, the Earth is flat like a pizza pan. Okay, let's make this clear. We're not sphere cocks here. The Earth is flat like a pizza pan. The argument I'm gonna make tonight is that I have a new model for the flat Earth. The flat Earth being wrapped around a curvature of space-time according to the laws of curvature that we know from circles. I believe it's the best model for the flat Earth to explain the observed data. But let's not lose it here. Let's be clear. The Earth is flat. This is April 1st. The Earth is flat, and sorry for all the sphere cocks on the internet. Go cry to your mother if you're not. Oh wait, she's not there. She's busy getting fucked by some alpha flat earthers in the bedroom.
Because I was worried all week. SB, right? Is that what we're calling you? Yeah. So SB, is this a troll? I was worried you were gonna pop in and go, fuck you guys. You started the show for no reason.
No, I wouldn't. I support your guys' show. I was shaking and almost in tears when I thought you guys were gonna break up. Airing your dirty laundry on the internet. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are gonna break up before we can get to the debate. And and I thought I was gonna have to face JF on his channel, which is way more serious. So then I'd had to been way more serious, but I'm not trolling. I can lay it out for you right now. It's like the most basic flat earth stuff is like water doesn't stick to the outside of a fucking spinning ball, man. It just doesn't. We can't demonstrate that anywhere with the physics of water where we are here on Earth. It just, the physics of water don't act that way. Okay, right, so that's nonsense. Go ahead.
Let's start with some questions because I've seen many flat earther movement, and it's important to locate you where you are in there. So do you deny the theory of gravity as we know it right now?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So what is it that makes stuff fall on Earth?
Well, if the Earth is just an extended flat plane, then all we really need is density or weight and buoyancy. You know, that's so. How does tell me this, Jeff? How does gravity? It holds the water to the outside of a spinning ball, and it keeps us from flying away, but it doesn't pull down the particles of smoke or a butterfly or a bumblebee. So how does that make sense?
Actually, it does pull them down. It just pulls them down. It doesn't pull them as down as it pulls the water, simply because the water is more dense. Now, so you mentioned density and buoyancy. I'm not even sure what that means. So what is it that makes an apple fall to the ground?
Well, just the fact that the apple has more weight and mass than the air.
Okay, but why is having more weight directing you toward the ground, toward the flat earth?
Well, because that's all. Everything is just flat. There's only up and down. What goes up must come down is a true statement. The only reason they invented and came up with the idea of gravity is because they needed something to support the idea that we're all somehow standing on a magical ball that spins through space and flies. You know, it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, and then it's hurling through space around the sun. How fast? I don't even remember. 160,000 miles an hour. So if you take all that away and you just have a flat extended plane, then up is up and down is down.
Okay, up is up and down is down. Now that doesn't address the question, because in any direction that we push the apple in, it has a weight. We can measure that. The apple has a certain weight, and if you have a more weight, a heavier object, it will take more energy to push it on the side, to push it up, to push it down. A more heavy object is harder to push. There is still the question, why is the direction down different in that there seems to be something accelerating objects toward the ground at all times? What is that force which differentiates the direction down on Earth as opposed to the direction left, up, and right?
I'm not sure if I understand how to answer your question, Jeff. I'm gonna go ahead.
Look at this finger. I can push it to the right. I can push it to the left. I can push it up. I can push it down. I can move in three-dimensional space. However, no one would deny that if I have some sort of an object, this object, if I let it go, it falls down. There's something about down that's not the same thing as opposed to left, right, up, and all of the other direction. There's something absolutely different about down. It seems to be pulling objects. What is creating that?
Oh, we don't. They made up a special word for it. They call it gravity, but it's no different than weight. You can call it gravity, but gravity is the word that they use to explain every unexplainable thing that they have about their spinning ball model of the Earth. This whole heliocentric model, gravity is the excuse. Okay, so if we take an egg and put it in a glass of water, it sinks to the bottom of the glass of water. If you add salt and mix it to the water, then the egg floats. So when it was just regular tap water, gravity is acting on the egg. When you add salt to the water, now gravity is neutralized by the salt and stops pulling it down. It's just buoyancy.
Gravity is gravity, or what you say we called gravity for the need of a name. I agree with you there. We gave gravity as a name to that phenomenon, and it could have been another name. But you don't deny that the phenomenon exists. You did see the knife falling from my hand.
Oh, there's definitely a phenomenon that everything wants to fall towards the ground.
Okay.
I just don't agree with the magical properties that go with it sticking us to the outside of a spinning ball.
All right. So the Flat Earth Society to that answers that we are living on a flat Earth that is being accelerated up by 9.8 meter per second square. Do you adhere to that theory?
Absolutely not. No, I think the Flat Earth Society is an intentional bring out of a controlled. Like they'll put some things in there that might make you think or might make you consider that oh, you know, hey, there is no curvature, or you know, but then they throw all this nonsense in there. And I think actually that it's even bigger than that. But the Flat Earth Society has been there for many, many years. as kind of a mockery to make people think, geez, that's stupid that anyone would imagine that we're still on a flat plane, you know.
All right. So those people who invented the name gravity, they were just looking for patching what they didn't understand. And now the Flat Earth Society, who explains the gravity phenomenon by an accelerated Earth toward us, is also some sort of controlled opposition. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Now you know, you are different from the Flat Earth Society. You're the real thing. And you still haven't explained how is it that things fall on the ground. Your answer to this is things fall on the ground because things go up and things go down. Well, that's a repeat of the question. It's not an explanation. Current science does explain why things fall to the ground, and you can disagree with the explanation, and based on your disagreement, I could argue with you. But right now, you don't have an alternative explanation. Current science says things are attracted to stuff, things that have mass are attracted to stuff that is heavy, to places of space-time where there is matter. And it seems to be true on my knife, it seems to be true on my body, and it seems to be true on the sun and the earth and the moon and any spherical object. Why are things accelerating toward masses?
I can hear you laughing at me, Andy.
No, I'm not. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Sorry. No, look. I'm having a great time. Go ahead, dude.
No, I feel like I did give you an answer, Jay. If the answer was that weight, buoyancy, or mass are good enough explanations, because up and down exist without that. You need things to pull towards the center if you're on a sphere. You don't need them to pull towards the center if you're not on a sphere. If you're on an extended flat plane, then that's what was the explanation before they came out with gravity and Newton watched an apple fall and started to speculate. Then the explanation was what? It was that things had weight, so they go down. Just the same, I'd go back to the egg example I gave you. So you're saying that when we add salt to the water, then that neutralizes the effect of gravity, and now the egg can float.
No, I'm not saying that it neutralizes. I'm saying the gravity is still operating. Gravity, if you want, on things that have different density, it acts as a sort of sorter. And that's the reason why oil, if you mix it with water, one of them will be lighter and it will go at the top, and one of them will be heavier, it will go at the bottom. Or you can even separate any sort of mixes. You can actually put an whole animal into, you can put it in a mixer and separate all the parts with a machine that spins. And as it spins faster and faster, it will divide the molecules that are very heavy, the molecules that are average heavy, and the molecules that are light, and you will see separations. This is what you see in any system that has gravity and that spins. Spinning being a kind of approximation of what gravity does also, because it creates a centrifugal forces toward the middle. And the fact that you can raise the density of water with salt is not a demonstration that gravity doesn't exist. It's precisely, it's a demonstration that the force acting on these masses is density dependent. It depends on the amount of matter.
Yeah, I understand, and I still think that gravity, if you want to use gravity just as something that pulls straight down, sure, but it doesn't pull everything towards the center. I mean, if you want to still use the word gravity, I'm glad to use it. I just would see it as a word being defined as existing within a flat plane, as opposed to a spherical, spinning, flying Earth.
All right, I'm very glad we got there. That's where I wanted to bring you. So you recognize that there is a force that pushes things toward the flat Earth.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, there's, if I knock the mic off the stand, it's going to fall,
All right.
So
now, do you have any physical explanation for that force?
No, I thought we just agreed we were going to call it gravity, for lack of a better word, like I said.
We've agreed on the label. Now I'm asking you, what are the physical phenomena creating that force? Is it hidden hidden little leprechaun that are just invisible and they're pulling stuff downward because that's where they like stuff? Is it that there's a bend in the space-time around the flat Earth? How do you explain the fact that things are headed toward the flat Earth?
Well, I would explain it as a perturbation in the magnetic field. It's an electromagnetic phenomenon. I mean, everything that we encounter is an electromagnetic phenomenon. So,
All right, why is the electromagnetic phenomenon headed toward the soil?
I don't think we have answers for why. We can't say why. We experience it, we see it, we know it's true, but why is a mystery.
Have you ever been beside a big magnet?
Yes.
Did it push you?
No.
So you're not magnetically charged. You don't react to the magnetic field. You're not being pushed by magnets. Why are you falling toward the flat Earth?
No, I'm saying that the entire system is an electromagnetic system. I'm not talking about just the effect that you would have of a magnet in an environment where there's, say, something that it repels or attracts, another magnet or a piece of metal or something. Everything we experience is electromagnetic.
If you're going to explain what we agreed we were calling gravity with your magnetic theory, it needs to be the case that those things that fall, everything that we see falling, including your own body, the microphone, all of these things will need to be reacting to magnets. If they don't, that means that you cannot explain the gravity on these particular objects.
Well, I don't think anyone can explain gravity. It's still just a theory. And I know as a scientist that you understand the difference between like a crappy theory and a reasonably vetted theory. I know that, but it's still just a theory. They don't have a plain, simple answer or explanation for gravity. Well, they'd stop calling it a theory and call it a law.
It depends on what we're talking about. You're right. Ultimately, we are missing some elements on explaining gravity, but we have equations, and we can compare these equations into how good they explain the phenomenon. Now, any equation that would involve a magnetic force pushing people to the ground, these things would require that people are affected by magnet. It would require that when I go to the hospital where we had a big brain scanner and where we were scanning people's brain using magnets, enormous magnets that cost millions of dollars, we would have smashed their brains with these magnets. Or we would have created gravitational effect that would have ripped them apart physically if they were magnetically charged, but they're not.
Oh no, I think you're misunderstanding my explanation. I'm not saying that I understand it. I'd say that the closest I could come to give you an explanation is that I believe it has something to do with the fact that we live in an electromagnetic universe or an electromagnetic world. You know, I know people.
May I ask one question here?
Yeah, go ahead, Andy.
Yeah. Okay, so your main point of contention was how could things on the globe, stay down, right? Like stay on the ground, basically. How does water stay in the ground if it's a sphere? But if you're talking about the flat Earth having some sort of force that pushes things down and keeps things down, then couldn't that force be applied to a globe? 110 IQ, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a good show, you guys. By the way, that was good.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad you feel better, Andy. I know you were afraid you were going to be like 79.
So dude, I was panicking. My dad watched it and he's like, "You were talking the entire time. You should have just focused." He's like, "Not bad for talking the entire time." But anyway, yeah. So why can't that force that you're talking about that holds things on the flat Earth be applied to a globe?
Well, because we can't demonstrate it otherwise. I mean, the only evidence that we have of a globe is that they taught us this our whole lives. And if you all of the data that they give us and all, especially the photographic evidence and all this stuff, is all contrary to one another. It's not uniform and consistent. It's not convincing. If you take, I think the main problem that most people have it's that the idea is so shocking and so stupid because we've all been raised with the idea that we're definitely on a spinning ball. Water sticks to the outside of it, but you exist in the world as if it were a flat plane. if you're honest with yourself. Everyone drives around in their car as if they're traveling on a flat plane. You know, I mean, sure, there's hills and mountains and curves. You know, you fly in an airplane, it doesn't feel or appear that you're flying over a huge ball. It appears that you're traveling in a straight, flat direction once you get to cruising altitude.
Now, Andy, I noticed in the last episode that your voice is very low compared to ours, and people on the chat are saying it. So if you can raise your voice, that would be great.
Yeah. Sorry, the OBS takes it in differently. Sorry about that.
Now, what SB Alger is doing here is derailing from the original question by Andy, because he's now derailing to, oh, we've been habituated to it. And this question was very precise. The force that you believe could be acting on the flat Earth, and you acknowledge that you know nothing about it. What allows you to be convinced that it could not apply on a sphere?
Well, I mean, I guess theoretically it could apply on a sphere.
Okay, theoretically
Whoa.
it could. So there's no property in your imagined version of gravity that is unapplicable on a flat Earth that would be wrapped around a ball.
Well, that's what they've given us is a theory. I just don't see any evidence for it. You guys really think that water's sticking to a ball? I don't.
But then how do you have evidence?
It was sticking.
Yeah, how do you have evidence then that on a flat Earth that there is a force that holds everything down? We could just throw the same question back at you.
Oh, I agree. I think it's a mystery that none of us have a straight answer to.
Okay, so then we are moving to a different type of debate. You are claiming that there is no more evidence for a round Earth than there is for a flat Earth. You're not claiming that you're convinced of the flat Earth. Is that it?
No, I'm absolutely I'm here more to cast doubt on the globe than I am to say that it's absolutely flat. I don't see any evidence of curvature. I don't see any evidence of the physics of water acting the way that they want us to believe. So, I certainly see the things that they present us as evidence as being incoherent.
But based on your previous statement, we would also conclude that you are as skeptical at the flat Earth, because you recognize that any knowledge that you currently have concerning gravity is as doubtful as it explains the holding of water on a flat Earth as it does on a globe.
Sure.
Hey, before we move on to the next point, before we may read some super chats. Let's see.
Do it.
Yeah. My count $2. Our Bob Ross T-shirts, the Flat Earther uniform. Tyler Durden $5. Hale Warski, is there room for flat earthers in the Trapno state? Asking for a sphere cuck. Yeah, of course. Everyone's welcome in the Trapno state. Jonathan B, £2. The ancient Greeks planned this all along. Wordu Waidu, $5. The Earth is not flat. It is tick. Where is my tick Earth theorists at? Philosophogues, $5. Supplying an alternative theory for things falling down is not a requisite for skepticism of gravity. We don't know is sufficient. Halsey, or not Halsey, our old pal who's going to be here on Wednesday, ready for the blood with Ryan Dawson, but Halsoy, 50 knock. As someone that deals with flat earthers daily, this is just the usual diatribe. He doesn't know that the formula for density requires gravity to work. Akawi Kids Club, $5. Next time on Blood Sports, is water wet? What you meant, $5. This gravity exchange shows flat earthers are fools who never have taken a physics class and tried to rederive phenomena without the scientific method. Tavid Andros, $5. How do magnets work? Memer's Head, $5. Andy JF, ask him if he thinks satellites are real. That's my field of work. Satellite systems and navigation. I want to hear his honest answer. If you want to answer that.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely don't believe satellites are not what they tell us. You know, you're probably working on a balloon and you don't know it or something. Honestly, man, no, I don't.
Okay, how do you think when I have my phone and I text Baked Alaska, for example, we text, right? How do you think this message is sent to Baked Alaska?
It's sent over the ground. That's why there's towers everywhere. That's why there's undersea cables. They may haven't you guys seen the Google balloon program that they're using to improve internet service right now? That's their whole plan for rural internet. It's called Loons, Google Loons, like LOONS.
Okay.
So why, if they've got so many satellites up there that already work, why is it required to add all of these balloons that Google has to try and improve service for people in rural areas for rural internet?
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense.
What about Google Maps, the satellite imagery that maps out the whole Earth, right? Like how? What?
Yeah, well, if you download all of Google Maps data, it makes a square. Makes a square flat map. All the maps you use to navigate are square flat maps, man.
Okay, but
the rectangles, the extended Mercator map.
How about this then? How about this? GPS. When you're driving in your car and you have your GPS on, how does it know where you are, what direction you are? It's obviously sending a signal somewhere that puts the area
it's
where you are.
It's actually receiving a signal from satellites, and it's triangulating based on 2 signals from 2 satellites.
I was about to say
it's triangulating based on towers, not satellites. It's just using towers. That's why you don't see the antennas pointing straight up into the sky. They're always pointing at an angle. I'm talking about parabolic antennas. You know, they call them satellite dishes. They're never pointing up out into outer space. They're always pointing at an angle because they're communicating with a high tower somewhere.
Hang on. Let me just read 2 more super chats, and then we'll move on. But I have a good question for you. Geek, $5. Break a bar magnet up in enough pieces, it forms a sphere. And Jay Dyer, what's up, Jay? $15. JF has way more patience than me.
You taught me that, Jay. I got it from your debate. Now I'm super relaxed.
Well, what I want to ask you is, how do you know that they aren't real, and what benefit does the government have for lying about the Earth being a sphere? Like, I always hear they're doing this for profit. They're lying for profit. How do they make money off just saying it's a sphere? Is it like a lie that went too far, and now they're like, oh, I don't want to like just go back on it, you know?
So that's your question. I don't think that the government's lying to make money about the flat Earth. I don't think that's the case.
So then, why do you think there is a conspiracy about the flat Earth then?
Well, I think it started way back with atomism, and you know whoever said that it started all the way back with Plato and the Greeks and all that's close to true, because it's all atomism. It's an occulted system of religion that they've promoted. And the reason to do it is to create a false metaphysics, that you're living in a false metaphysics, as opposed to
what's the benefit?
The benefit is to have the benefit is to have the whole world under a spell, so that you don't believe you're existing in the world that you're actually in. You're imagining yourself in a world that's not. It's a shade off of real. It's
but in
not
all
real.
Practicality, everyone has had the chance to use GPSs. They can get to wherever they want. So the supposed conspiracy there doesn't seem to impede anyone from traveling properly on Earth. In fact, it seems to be facilitating traveling to consider that the Earth is round.
Well, I mean, if you guys want to believe that it's satellites as opposed to high towers, you're of course welcome to do it. I'm not a person who tries to go. I don't go around like preaching the flat Earth to people. I don't post it all over my Facebook. I post a couple links on Twitter here and there about the flat Earth, but I don't have a problem. Like I honestly, I want to be honest with you guys. I want to level with you. And a shout out to Jay Dyer, since he blocked me as soon as I shared the first flat Earth link. Jay Dyer blocked me.
Jay's a coward.
Yeah. So, I blocked the shit out of people. But hey, since I know he's here,
I block people all day. I don't care anymore.
But I'm fucking sick of flat earthers. I'm so pissed at them. They're so annoying and so stupid. And I think Jay Dyer's right that a whole bunch of it is bots. I think that on top of it being flat, that it is a controlled opposition conspiracy. It's something that they're bringing out intentionally to divide people. So that then a guy like me, like if I keep it a secret that I'm a flat earther and have a conversation with you guys, then you respect me more and you take me more seriously, because I don't think something that you think is so fucking outlandish and stupid that you can't even consider it. So it's a way to divide people up. It's a polarization technique, because the truth is they're bringing it out and they know it's an issue that people won't be able to resolve on. Okay, the people that have looked at it, like me, I'm not kidding when I say for 3 years I've been studying it, and I've got a group that's separate from all the bullshit. I don't follow all the accounts and all the people that I consider they're just poor examples of flat Earth evidence. Most of the shit you see, I don't agree with. You know, I've got a private group that we work in where we do observable, repeatable experiments and try and track the sun and the moon. And you know, we're kind of past the typical shit you'll find on YouTube.
What don't you like about the flat Earth Society? Like, what are things that they say that make you go no? Because you believe the Earth has potential to be flat, but what makes you look at the flat earthers and not like them in particular?
Well, for one thing, they're really impatient, rude, completely condescending. You know, I see it on both sides. You know, it just becomes this "you're stupid, fuck you" argument, which I think is that's just a terrible way to act towards one another in general. You know, it's a shitty way to function in the world, to always be looking down your nose and condescending someone else's position, even if you think it's stupid. I mean, I understand to a point. You have to say, okay, well, then we have to agree to disagree, or agree to not, you know, to not talk or not interact. But in general, like, well, the Flat Earth Society, I think, is just it's something that's been there forever to make mockery of the flat Earth by alleging to promote it. Just what JF said. What we're supposed to be, we're on a disc allegedly, which I don't believe that we're on a disc, and we're hurling upwards through the air at what 8 or 9 miles an hour to accommodate for gravity. This is just as disprovable as any, you know, just as outlandish and stupid as anything else that you can theorize. It's not an explanation.
Well, I think
so. We're not on a disc. On what are we?
Oh, I don't know if we're ready. You guys ready to go there already?
yo, I like
I
you,
feel
man.
like
I like
could
this
be
guy.
answering anything at this point.
yo, I fucking
we
love
are
this
living
guy.
in a big vagina.
Yeah, yo, I love this guy. No, seriously, like seriously, this is amazing.
I think.
Yeah, man. No, I'm enjoying this, man. Good. Go ahead.
That being said, Andy, I will back his statement on the snobbish attitude on both sides. I fully agree with him. I've been tweeting to Neil deGrasse Tyson. I asked him for his best arguments against the flat Earth. He hasn't responded. Andy, the ethno-state just got 10 feet higher.
Oh shit. Oh, speaking about that.
Wait, did you just imply that? So wait, even Neil deGrasse Tyson can't get into the ethno state?
Well, I don't think he could have, but I'm saying that I will build an even higher wall to make sure that he doesn't pass.
Just in case.
He didn't help me when I needed him most.
Speaking of which,
So-
I may just throw in one quick thing. That I got a DM. I told you this, JF. David Charat wants to battle Millennial Woes on our
Wow.
show. That's the left challenging the right. So I'm setting that up. So I'm just gonna like to say it out here that Millennial Woes, you have a new challenger approaches. So that
The gauntlet has been thrown.
I'm very excited. May I just read just a few more super chats real quick? A quick Nick, $2. The bases in Antarctica are towns in Canada. Mr. Thundero, $2. Please turn off the spam filter, you cunt. I know, I'll fix that. Sorry. Mike Hunt, $5. This guy is no Eric Dubay or Mark Sargent. I would suggest 200 proofs the Earth is flat by Eric Dubay, or Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues. Last one for now, Elliot, $10. This guy is embarrassing himself. Great seeing high IQ Andy slaughter this tard. JF overestimated this guy in the last stream. Do you want to respond to that? A couple haters out there.
Oh, but people could think whatever they want of me. I haven't even asked any questions yet. I've just fielded your guys' questions. So.
All right, cool. If you have any questions, anyone, I'll be asking throughout the show. Anyway, so what was this thing we were going to be talking about now? The potential.
I know, now I got you guys all excited on what model of the Earth does SB Alger believe in if he doesn't believe in the silly fucking pizza pan map, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not ready. I want you guys to tell me, where's the curvature? Where is it? How do you demonstrate curvature? How do you prove it? I'd like to know, please. Because honestly, I'd prefer beyond the globe. So JF, Andy, if you guys could help me to finally see the truth about the shape of the Earth, to give up on my stupid idea that I got brainwashed for 3 years. Shit, I don't know what to think. Fuck. So
right.
bring me back to the globe, guys. Where's the curvature?
I did do a lot of research and homework on this, but JF, you go. I'll throw in a bit later.
Yeah, I mean, I think that most of my arguments to you don't rely on these. However, if you ask me why am I convinced that the Earth is round, oh yeah, definitely. I will take photographs and I consider that they are credible. I will look at the border of the Earth, for example, when it's photographed from far enough. And what the flat earthers claim is a stop of the sun lighting up the Earth is actually a very sharp distinction between the Earth being lighted up and the Earth not being lighted up, and then you have perfect blackness. It's not like a continuum. It's not like the rays of light are being lost progressively. You have empty space, and then poof, you have the Earth. And so to me, this shows that this is a globe. It's only a globe that could create this effect. If the lights of the sun was not reaching some part of a flat Earth, you would have a continuum of decreasing levels of light.
I'm not sure how that understands. I don't feel like you answered my question, JF. So
starting with a photograph of the Earth? Why do you think the Earth is round when we photograph it from far enough?
I don't. I think it's fake. I think that's just fake bullshit, man. That's not real. And if you go searching at the photographs and actually comparing them to one another, they're not consistent. One space agency to another is different. 1 year to another is different. The curvature is different from one ISS feed to the next.
Absolutely, because none of these pictures are taken from the same position and the same time with the same meteoric condition. Now, Andy, what are your reasons for believing that the Earth is round?
Well, just to throw on to that point right there, a lot of people were wondering why. You know the stream they have that's orbiting the Earth? And they say, why does this look different than everything that's ever been?
ISS stream, yeah.
Yeah, it's because the cameras are able to pick up light better. For example, older cameras couldn't pick up stars because the light wasn't powerful enough for the camera to pick it up. And now we have the HD and all that stuff. So that's why it looks different now, because the cameras are getting incredible. And streaming is getting incredible as well. But have you ever seen the guy who was skydiving from the top of the atmosphere? It was sponsored by Red Bull. Okay, you watched that. So yeah, they had on the full video the entire from when he was on the ground filmed to when he was up in space, essentially. There was no.
The camera's just as curved, Andy, at the ground as it is when he gets up in the sky. No, if you look at that.
No, when he's in the sky, you see. Like, because he's higher than planes, obviously. He's at the edge of the atmosphere. You see the Earth curving. Now, a lot of people who are in the Flat Earth Society will say something like, the sun is bending the light, or the camera, the way the lens is sort of adds that. But there's that. Then there's planes that go from Australia that fly to North America. If you look at flight paths, we see not only are they in between where the map is, there are a few flight paths from Australia that go to North America and South America. So how would the Australian planes fly to Canada much faster than if they were like, do you think they're flying down and around to trick everyone? The flight would be much longer.
I know flight paths are one of the worst positions you can take to prove the globe, because otherwise they would fly directly across the poles, and they don't. They've never even circumnavigated north to south on the poles.
Hang on, then how do you explain then the first point I made, that one unbroken clip from the ground up into space where you see the Earth's curvature?
That's just lens distortion, man. It's just a fisheye lens. I don't think you're being genuine. Type in Otto Baumgartner and bring it up, Andy.
No. A fisheye lens, the way it works, when you'd be on the ground, it would be distorted as well. But we could.
It is. That shot you're talking about is completely distorted on the ground, and just as distorted up in the in the sky. And if you go look at lens correction, they got him standing there. You go correct the lens distortion of the fisheye lens, and it's flat as fuck. The high altitude balloon footage is one of the most convincing things that you can look at. I don't think you guys have taken an honest look. I think this is the typical thing for most globe guys. The guys still believe everything they were taught in school, all the bullshit, all the pictures that they showed us, the globes. They said, well, here's where we live. We live on this little spinning globe. You guys haven't taken an honest look. Okay, you go look at balloon footage, and it's flat as fuck. Okay, the ones that have fisheye lens, the horizon curves up, down, up, down, up, down. Right?
You seem to be involved. You seem to be involved in an eternal doubt. Now, I could even agree with you that if you're gonna reject anything that's ever been made by someone else and say it's been faked, then okay, we know nothing. Then we're back to the Descartes cogito, and all you really know is that you exist. All right, but when we accept to do science, we don't think that everyone is there to fool us, especially if there's no particular reason to fool us. Now, I'd like to move to the idea of gravity differentials. Do you agree that the force that we agreed earlier to call gravity is applying forces that are proportional to the weight of things? Do you agree that objects that are heavy are being pulled toward the Earth with more force than objects that are small, and because their weight makes it more difficult to move them, such that any object that you throw, unless it's a Kleenex and it's catching in the wind, any object of a relatively uniform mass and heavy enough will fall at the same speed? Are you aware that objects fall toward the Earth at the same speed?
I am, yes.
Okay. So do you agree, based on this, that we can extrapolate that we can conclude that the force that we agreed to call gravity is a force that is weight dependent?
Yeah. To me, that's just another way of saying what I said before, that it's based on, mass or weight.
Yeah,
density.
But you also said that it was based on magnetism.
No, I said that everything's based on magnetism. Electromagnetism is.
It does seem that some laws are independent of magnetism. One being the fact that objects that are heavier require more energy to be pushed. All right, now I'd like to talk to you about a field that is called microgravity variations. Are you familiar with this idea that there are people who do geographic studies, and they are looking for things to mine in the soil, and they are looking to identify areas of the soil that have more density or less density? They do that using a little weight that is hanging down a rope, and they fly over the areas that they want to survey, and they find out that the little weight can be pulled by gravity less, and here you see it in blue, or more, and here you see it in red. Are you familiar with these microgravity variations across the Earth?
Well, I've heard of it before, but I've never studied it, Jeff. I've never looked at the details of microgravity.
All right. Now, the fascinating thing with this is that, this blue spot right there, that's a spot where the little weight that they were carrying, that was hanging down a little spring, was being pulled toward the Earth less. And you know what happens right there when you go look into the ground? It's a mining site. It's a big hole that was dynamited out from the Earth. So would you agree, based on this observation, that gravity seems to be stronger when there's more mass and lower when there's less mass in the soil?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So now we have agreed on laws of gravity. We have agreed on the fact that there is a differential effect of gravity based on the weight of object. And you have also agreed that the Earth is pulling object differentially based on the density of the soil where it is being pulled. Andy, we're almost there. So I think it's time to chill and maybe read some super chats.
Sure, yeah.
I think that
And then I want to bring, and then I want to bring something up as well that I had meant to mention. I'll do it right after reading some super chats. More news, $5. Can you explain how Alaska there is a full month of night? Can you?
Can I?
Yeah. If you could.
Well,
yeah.
the model of how the sun and moon work that we've studied is very different than the circle map and very different than the globe. So, the sun moves from the east to the west in a series of gates, and the best evidence that the only way you can really see this is if you actually observe the sun and the moon, especially the moon. Okay, so from one night of the moon setting till the next, when it greets you on the horizon, you guys understand what I mean? Where it first greets you on the horizon, you're standing in your back porch or your backyard or wherever. From one night to the next, it'll jump 10 to 20 degrees difference in the sky. Okay, so how that explains the darkness and light up north where Alaska is, I don't know. I'd have to like start pulling out memes or pictures and shit, and I was trying to avoid that. I really wanted to do this just free flow, have it be discreet and regular conversation. I didn't want to come like, with my pocket protector and like, all right, now let's get our meme folders out, kids. I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to be fun, but I also, with you guys, I'm not trolling. Okay, I got a question for you, JF, since you asked me a lot of questions, and I see you feel like you're moving in for the kill like a big cat here. Sean's looking pretty weak and pathetic, right? But answer me this. So at the equinoxes on the equator, the sun moves in a perfectly straight line. Now, how can you explain that on a flat or a globe model? How do you explain the sun traveling at the equator during the equinox in a perfectly straight line?
Well, I'm not a physicist nor a geophysicist, but it seems to me that this is exactly what the spheric model would predict, which is that given that the Earth is aligned to its rotational axis is aligned toward the sun, such that the equator is perpendicularly placed toward the sun, you would totally expect the sun to go on a straight line precisely at that moment.
It doesn't work, man.
Why does it not work?
Because the Earth is supposedly tilted and spinning, right? So how is it traveling straight? It would never be traveling in a perfectly straight line.
I think that the key is in your question. You ask at the equinox. At the equinox, the rotation axis of the Earth is perpendicularly aligned to the rays of the sun coming in.
Okay, well, I don't know. If you guys want to go to pictures later, I could show you more what I mean. But I'd say let's go ahead and move on. I'm ready for Jeff
to see the pictures.
Here, if you want to actually, if you want, you could find some pictures and all that. While I just pound through some super chats here. Bobo Winky, $5. Has someone asked why one cannot navigate by plane geometry? Also, one can lose phone tower signal, but not GPS signal. Done. Debunked. White slave owner, $2. They're hiding land and resources. It's a trap, Andy. Not Lex, $2. Ask him about the JQ. Maybe we'll do that a bit later. P. Baxter, $10. The flat earth wants to level with you, Andy. Watch out. This is how it starts. Oh boy. Turkey General, £5. Andy, will you get Vegan Gains and Blair White to do a live debate on veganism? #Bloodsports. Now, I would love to do that. All right. Me and Richard are cool with each other. However, Blair White did recently hang out with Jeff Holiday and Hi, I Think I'm Real. On the weekend, I was actually out there. And as you know, me and Jeff Holiday and Hi, I Think I'm Real, let's just say we ain't buddies. That's very unexaggerated. But she hung out with them for the weekend. And then I go on Twitter and I see she just stopped following me. So that was actually very interesting that she didn't at least message me and try to like like ask me, yo, like maybe, hey, what's this? What, like try and talk to me, because that's usually what people who are friends do. However, what Vegan Gains has pointed out in his video today about Blair White, whenever someone is not low-hanging fruit, she blocks them. Whenever they are low-hanging fruit, she'll debate them. So if you watch Vegan Gains' new video on Blair White, it's fantastic. And I would like to have a discussion with Blair White when you have someone, hi, I think I'm real, who was fine with me, but was upset that I have JF as my co-host, and is upset that I ruined the skeptic community because he wanted to be part of a community, and makes a video calling me the worst fucking YouTuber of all time. So Blair White, you, like, it's just so funny. You block Vegan Gains when he's not low-hanging fruit. He's actually a good debater on the subject. But you're down to just, she's mad at people who make fun of her for being trans, which is the low-hanging fruit victim complex thing, instead of debating the actual issues. So Blair, you have to, like, and Jeff Holiday, and he hates me. Okay, he hates me. So listening to him and then not asking for my side of the story is kind of a cunty move. So Blair, you're being a cunt. That's all I have to say. I didn't block her.
And I will simply ask to Blair White, please remove this label on Twitter where you say you are a conservative YouTuber. I mean, there's a point at which you cannot claim that you're a conservative, and it's when you accept to chat with Jeff Holiday, but you don't accept to chat with Andy Warski because he's too far on the right. My God, you don't know what conservatism is.
And also just to top this whole thing off, is she's constantly talking about, SJWs, bashing people who use victim narratives, and then uses a victim narrative on herself. And your old pal Johnny Fox, Johnny Fox, you remember him? He made a video a while ago where I actually spoke to his buddy. His buddy made fun of Blair White, right, on Twitter, and Blair White had tweeted out where this guy lived, like his province in Canada, and goes, "Hey, I know you're in this province. I can say more," right? And there's all the evidence. I never brought it up because I found out like way later. But they actually were about to dox someone, and then when all the fans were like, "What the fuck?" they deleted that tweet. But Johnny Fox, you may hate him, you may love him, but he did show that. So that was just funny that every time anyone criticizes her, they freak the fuck out. Yet she's able to bash anyone she wants.
And maybe it's time we talk to the young YouTubers out there and say, guys, there's not a career for you in hating us. You're not gonna make it through YouTube to the highest point of the YouTube mountain by just saying Andy Warski sucks and his show is bad. Try to do better, bitches.
Yeah. Oh, and also some people saying.
Can I say something about all that, you guys?
Please go ahead, man.
Yeah, I don't even know who Blair White is. It sounds like it's a dude who thinks it's a chick or something. But honestly, I don't know who it is. But for all the criticism that you guys get, I gotta give you hella props, because people aren't actually. Everyone's so fucking emotional nowadays that no one uses any logic at all. Now think about that, folks. I'm the flat earther on the show, saying you guys are all illogical and emotional. You're not reasonable. I see it all the time. Everyone like, well, oh, you platform white supremacists, and that means you're evil. I came over to watch the show because I was bored, like, because I'm always looking at far out weird conspiracy shit way off the deep end. Like, okay, I'm gonna go check this out, and it's not unreasonable. Even Richard Spencer, who I thought would be way more inflammatory and like highly intelligent, makes reasonable positions. You don't have to agree with him. you know. So I think what JF said is totally true. That just making a whole life about hate is pretty stupid. That's kind of the same thing I said earlier, JF. Is that I think all of this is to divide people. All of this, they're bringing out all kinds of ways to divide people, and I think the flat Earth's one of them. I think all of this nationalism versus liberalism is one of them, and they're just they're pushing everybody.
I think I found the perfect question to ask SB. Totally outside the flat Earth debate. SB, what do you think about horseshoe theory?
Well, horseshoe theory, that's that it's kind of the same as saying the left and right are both wings of one bird, right?
But it's like saying the political spectrum is a circle. What do you think about it?
Well, to a degree, I believe that if you go too far in one direction, that you end up the same as your opponent. Do you disagree with that, JF?
No, it's just that I got a flat earther to agree that if you go too far on one side, you end up on the other side.
I knew that you would be tricky, but I didn't think you'd be that tricky.
Oh, may I ask one thing now? Blair White had a stream, right? And apparently someone brought up that she had sex with Paul Joseph Watson. And then she said, yep, and he's a bottom, by the way. Can we confirm that Blair White pegged Paul Joseph Watson?
What?
Yo, yeah, I swear to God.
I doubt Paul Joseph Watson will admit it, but
he's been avoiding the question. But Blair White, someone said, "Hey, is it true?" Someone super chatted and said, "Hey, is it true that you had sex with Paul Joseph Watson?" And she's like, "Yeah," or something like along like, maybe, but I'll just say this: he's a bottom. Please tell me Paul Joseph Watson gets fucked in the ass. That would make my entire day.
It wouldn't be surprising. These people have been acting weirdly for conservative and right-wingers. Perhaps that's the essence of the alt-right, after all. They're really SJWs.
Yeah. Before we move just imagine.
So where do you guys fall on the conspiracy spectrum in general? I mean, do you guys both think we went and landed on the moon? You believe that?
Yeah.
Personally, I do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you believe 9/11 was committed by some Arabs who crashed airplanes into skyscrapers in New York?
It's unquestionable that it was done by Arabs. I wouldn't reject hypotheses that these Arabs could have had been financially funded by people in America. I don't think it's solidly proven, but I wouldn't reject the hypotheses.
So you don't think that Israel did it?
It could be. I don't reject the hypothesis, but I have never seen really. I've never looked into it that deep, but I've never seen convincing evidence that it would be an organized crime from the politicians in America or Israel. But I certainly don't reject that possibility.
I think it was all of them. You guys didn't see the footage of the Israelis that got arrested dressed up like Arabs celebrating on 9/11?
Yeah, Ryan, I don't know celebrating, but Ryan Dawson did mention some of these weird arrests that have occurred. I think it's definitely weird, and I would need to look more into it to see to what extent this proves that there was a conspiracy for 9/11. I really don't know.
So you guys love how he says 9/11. You guys don't have any problem with the idea that in the 1970s, like what, 1972, that we went 5 times supposedly to the moon, played some golf, drove around in some buggies, collected a couple rocks, and came back all with all. We had one mistake, Apollo 13, where they couldn't land. They had to swing around the moon like a U-turn, come back to Earth, all with a slide rule. You guys don't have, that's kind of naive to believe that, isn't it?
Sounds legit to me.
No, it does. Essentially,
you guys have studied the photography and the moon lander. You guys never. I got a good question for you both.
I know the physics behind it, and the physics makes sense, and it seems very probable that did happen. And then we could the photographic evidence is like in
Well,
your
do me a
opinion,
favor,
debatable.
Andy.
And by the way,
the
Tom
physics
Hanks
works
was
behind it.
amazing on this mission. Tom Hanks on Apollo 13. Was really
Oh shit!
Tom Hanks.
Wait, so you think?
Well, who's got the browser easiest to get to? Just type in Galileo spacecraft and just pop it up there.
Here,
Galileo.
JF.
Yeah.
All right, here I'll read a couple
Bring the
more
video
super chats while you look for that. White Slave Owner, $2. They're hiding. Wait, no, I read that. Here, shit. Oh, here it is. Queen of Bands, what's up, Queen? $2. Why is sunrise/set in Cali hours away from the East Coast? I think how flat earthers, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. They say that the flat Earth isn't completely flat. It's sort of like in like like not a cone shape, but sort of like a C shape. Therefore, the sun only hits one. Actually, I'm gonna put it back on my starting soon screen for a second. This picture right here. That's how they explain it.
I can't see that. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think there's any curve at the edge. It's not like we're down in a bowl. It's completely flat and essentially square.
All right, let's go to the next one. Soundly, $10. Andy Worski, please let people know about my channel where I show photographic evidence of Earth's curve from ground level. Soundly. It's just soundly. Thank you very much. Wordo Wido, $5. If the Earth is flat and weight pulls things down, why does the tide rise when the moon is overhead?
Well, the fluctuation in tides can be more easily explained by, like I said before, by electromagnetism than it can by gravity. So the tide rises and falls in the ocean, but it doesn't rise and fall in a lake. Well, the salt water is reacting to the electricity of the sun. So
all right, I'll just read one more.
And I didn't catch the question from that girl, Andy. What she said, she was asking a question about the sunrise and sunset, California opposed to the East Coast. I didn't.
Well, I showed. Okay. All right. If we're gonna talk about it's fully flat, like the way is the sun is on one side of the of the flat Earth, and the moon's on the other, and it's sort of rotating around. That's sort of what I've seen. Like I was researching.
Yeah, I mean that's what people believe in this circling. We call it the circling circus. You know, the azimuthal equidistant map, the AE map. They try and say, oh, that's the map on the UN flag, and that's the round map. That's how circumnavigation is explained, and all this. And I don't subscribe to any of that. We can't get to the edges of anything because it's on lockdown, man. They're not going to let you. There's even there's some Viking guy, I don't remember his name, who's been out there trying to just be a sailor and like just go explore Antarctica, explore the North Pole, and they just keep arresting him and keep throwing him in jail and keep like they'll give him the permits and then they still won't let him go sail. And he's not like a flat earther or anything. He's just a guy that wants to be an explorer,
All right.
So
sorry, I was gonna do by the way, if you're enjoying, I'm having a great time on this stream today. Hit like if you're enjoying the show. I hope you like my camera work. I'm changing between all the scenes and focus. It's a lot of fun, actually. And last one for now, Ricky Julian, $5. Low IQ Pole Ack doesn't understand the most basic concepts of physics or chemistry. There's no argument to have here. He just doesn't get it. One more for now. Damien Della Herta, $5. He doesn't understand scale and perception. Put an ant on a massive ball and it will think it's on a flat plane. This guy is the ant in my analogy.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's see what I'm gonna put your focus here, JF, and tell us what you're showing us here.
So I'm showing the Wikipedia page for the Galileo spacecraft. What is it that you had against the spacecraft, SB?
I don't know, I was just gonna say just go to the image search for it, and it just looks fake as fuck, man. It doesn't look. Who's taking pictures of these satellites that are outside of the perspective of the satellite itself? You guys not? That's okay. Let me tell you guys a quick story just so you understand. Okay, so I was on Reddit one day, and somebody in the comments said satellites are fake. So I'm like, oh, this is bullshit. So I start searching satellites on Google Image, like, okay, let's look at satellites in space. and it just none of it looks convincing at all. It just looks fake as fuck. So I started looking up satellites being built in the laboratory, you know, and it's still just hokey as hell. So from there, I started looking at so let's start looking at rocket launches. Every rocket launch you look at, they only have usually one camera angle, and as soon as it gets to the point where you're supposed to break through the alleged atmosphere out into the vacuum of space, the camera always cuts out, and then it always goes to CGI. You know.
Actually, yeah,
So-
I
What
totally
looks
just remembered
fake?
this. I've seen, and I'm sure many people here have seen, satellites in the sky at night. It's like it's really far away. It looks like a moving star almost.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. We've all seen that since we were kids, right?
So what is that?
Does that mean that there's actually a geostationary satellite somewhere way out in outer space, or does that just mean that there's something up there with a light on it that we can see?
So,
Like
so,
I said,
so you'd
you've
rather
got secret
believe
blimp and balloon programs. If you can look them up, there's you know, like I gave you one example of Google Loons. I don't know if they're going to go through with it or not, but they were using it to supply better cellular telephone service and internet service with balloons. So if you take it to the next step from there and look up you start really researching blimps, balloons, drones, and all that. There's all kinds of stuff you can find that just it's not a satellite, but it's really super high altitude airships. Those exist for sure. You can find pictures of them.
So what looks fake in that image for you? That's the Galileo satellite.
Well, that one's actually not bad. I'm talking about the one where it's showing it flying in space without being attached to the spacecraft still. So just go to like the full panel of images, if you would, JF.
Full panel. Let me search that. So the Google images, Galileo spacecraft.
Yeah, I would just type Galileo spacecraft and then click the image tab.
All right. There we go.
Okay, so who's
You
taking
know
the
that some
picture?
of these are reconstructions, right? So
Of
this, for
course.
example, is not a picture taken. This
No,
doesn't
I
look like a
understand.
picture. This looks like a 3D model. So what you see there are models. But what we saw earlier was a picture, and you recognize that there was not much you could call fake in there. So yes, there are 3D models of it to explain to people, but there are real pictures that looks.
But
for
NASA
example, like a
NASA
real
promotes all
picture.
that as a lot of that photography or those images as actual images from space.
I don't see any claim by NASA.
They don't allege that that's art. They don't tell you that that's art.
But what
Oh,
They
about
tell you that it's real.
There's no claim by NASA
No.
that this is an actual picture.
yeah?
Well, there are you guys haven't seen the footage of the guy who made the blue marble talking about how he has to Photoshop them all. You guys haven't seen that video clip?
Yeah, real fast. Camera Sport just threw $100 on the table. Fucking right on, man. Thank you so much for supporting. And he says, another shout out for Soundly. That was the guy who does videos that he proves the curvature of the earth. His debate with Bro Sanchez was hilarious. He's a black flat earther that says flat power.
Bro Sanchez is? I don't think I've ever heard of him.
Yo, you seriously
No, I'd
thanks
like
for
to
that. for that
discuss-
massive- Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I'd like to discuss this because I talked about it earlier and you said you didn't really understand what I meant. This is exactly what I meant. When you photograph the Earth, you have a part here on the right which comes clean cut. And you have another part on the left which comes as progressively de-illuminated. Do you see the difference between the left side and the right side here?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So this doesn't look like a continuation of the flat Earth. This looks like empty space right there. This could leave you the impression that there's a part of the flat Earth that's not being lighted up, and that in actuality the flat Earth continues on the left. But this right here, the clean cut that you see, does not suggest a continuous de-illumination from the sun. It suggests total empty space at the very border of what we see.
Well, dude,
This
do you know
is
who?
pretty-
Sorry, are you done?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you.
No.
So, are you familiar with Bart Seabrill? You guys know who Bart Seabrill is? Made a documentary called "A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon."
No, not familiar.
Okay, so if you watch that documentary, allegedly NASA accidentally sent him footage. Now, I don't know. I don't completely trust any of these people. Just the same as I don't trust this photograph because you and I and Andy can't jump in our own rocket and go up here and look. So we're taking someone's word for it, right? Here's what we brought you. But if you look at Bart Seabrill's documentary, they show the astronauts allegedly in low Earth orbit. This is what they're telling you. That, okay, so they're supposedly in low Earth orbit, and they're creating that left side of this photograph. They're creating a frame that sets into the window of the spaceship. I mean, and it's real NASA footage. It's not bullshit. They've never denied it or anything. So anyone that's watching this, if you haven't ever watched the documentary, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, Bart Seabrill is a guy who's famous for getting. He's always rushing up on astronauts and trying to get them to swear on the Bible that they actually went to the moon. And so I don't trust any of this photography. They don't give you an honest answer. If you if you want to switch the share to me, I can give you a picture or two just because I have a.
You will
I
have
made
to
a meme.
click
Sure.
on screen share in the upper left corner, and then you'll be able to screen share.
And then I'll focus
Okay.
on you.
All right.
While you're looking for that, Yeti Fright, $5. Flat Earth for Dix Folwangsky, JF can watch. The memers, what? Memers had $10 orbit and clock-based navigation. Data literally can't work with radio towers. Your entire life, agriculture, internet, surveying relies on the accuracy of these navigation systems. Triggered.
Absolutely.
Ava Liberty, $2. Watch a boat sail off for proof of curvature.
That's not proof of the curvature.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
If the
It's
Earth
not.
was
Or do
completely,
we live on a?
hang on, if the Earth was
We live on
completely
a
flat,
can, Andy?
if the Earth was completely flat, and a boat sailed off, it would just go smaller and smaller and smaller. It wouldn't just vanish.
That's not true, man. You guys need to take a closer look. These are actually very weak arguments.
My friend has a telescope, and we've seen satellites. We've been like, oh, look at that satellite. That's cool.
Satellites are too far away.
How
to
is
see it.
every other planet a sphere?
Every other planet's not a sphere. Okay, do you see
What?
this picture I got up here now?
You have a special flat earther, Andy.
How
He
is
distinguishes himself from the other flat earthers.
That's true. I am different than the other flat earthers. That's true.
you could take a telescope and you see that other planets are spheres. The Hubble telescope has seen shit. The other
Hubble
planets.
telescope's just an airplane.
Oh my! Don't you take that back? Take back that the Hubble telescope is just an airplane right now.
It's just an airplane. Look, this is you guys. Okay, look. So 9 years later, we're standing on the moon, right? You guys believe this? Okay, so here's 1960, the children's newspaper. Here's the brainwashing you guys all received from the time you're little kids, all of us. And like, here's the same thing we see over and over again. Here's the curve of the Earth. There's something flying. Okay, so 9 years later, we're standing on the moon. You guys believe that? You don't have any doubt.
What do you mean 9 years later? Do you say that we discovered that the Earth was round 9 years before going to the moon?
No, I'm saying that here's the dude standing in his spaceship or in his spacesuit in 1960. It's looking pretty good. Looks kind of like a garbage can, right? And
We don't see it. Did you share screen?
I thought I did. Am I not screen sharing?
Okay,
I'm sorry.
what you want to do for that?
Let's see.
Hover your
click it
mouse
again here.
over the chat, and then over the hangout, go left. You'll see a green box.
Yeah.
And
I hit it.
then hit OK. When you hit it, you have to hit OK right after.
I'll start screen share right there.
There it is.
right.
No. Wait, did that? Oh, thank God. I had cut off. I thought he was showing the link.
Okay.
Oh, that would have been.
No, we don't want that. Yeah, that would
yeah,
suck.
no, but luckily I trim off the top because I don't know if you heard. I'm 110 IQ.
But don't move your window, SB.
Yeah, do not. Move.
Okay, don't
Yeah.
move the window.
No, actually,
Can you
his
can you guys see that?
Yeah, we see it.
Hang on. I'm
So
gonna see how this. Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. Don't move the window at all.
And so that doesn't look suspicious at all to you guys as far as like that's going to work for a spacesuit. 1960. This is what they're.
Well,
telling
yeah,
me.
that's a shitty spacesuit where like they probably tried and died trying doing that. That's not the one that was successful.
Yeah, this is something that seems to have been put together by a journal trying to impress about the future. Just like if we were today to try to guess what a car will look like in 10 years, we'd probably awfully wrong.
Yeah, you ever watch those?
You guys are.
Have you ever seen those sci-fi movies where like in the future everyone's wearing the same clothes?
Okay, do you guys
It's
deny?
like,
yeah, of course.
And then you make it there to like a Blade Runner, for example. Wasn't like the old Blade Runner like almost in the year that we're in, or something, right?
Yeah.
And now you look at our Earth now, and you're like, it's nothing like Blade Runner. Maybe Japan, minus flying cars.
It is in Taiwan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is stars. This is stars through high-end cameras that they're shooting. So this is what stars look like if you just get a P900 Coolpix camera. You compare that to all the shit they showed us from NASA all these years. Not even close, man. Not even close. Now, you telescope, same thing. I've seen some telescope footage very similar to this. Most of the high-end amateur astrophotography is all layered up. It's all layered up. So they'll take 5 or 10 or 15 and stack them together. But you never get that appearance of what you're getting from NASA.
Well,
So what about this here?
Answer this one.
Answer this one for me, JF. Say again.
You can have a heavy artifact when you do additive effects and color effect. When you try to picture a star with material that has not been planned to do that, or even if it's been planned and you do the repeat images and you do 15 images and you stack them together, you're going to obtain very weird results that are not necessarily representative of how the star looks. They are artifacts of your method that you use to see these stars.
Oh, I agree, but that's something that they're doing. I'm saying that if you go on YouTube right now and type in Coolpix 900 flat Earth and stars, you get lots of people shooting footage, and some of it's a little blurry, but some of it's pretty clean. It's not stacked images. It's them shooting live video, and it looks like that last photograph I showed you. Whereas most astrophotography you're seeing is almost all stacked images. The guys that are shooting them don't deny it, that they're stacking images to get an effect. So
and the Nikon P900 doesn't have curved lenses?
Of course it does. All cameras have curved lenses. Our eyes.
Why do you believe this one instead of the ones from NASA?
And you can stop.
The ones from NASA all look like art.
And you can stop sharing screen, by the way. I think
all right
at the bottom.
But what was this Dr. Einstein thing?
It says it's a quote from Einstein that he says that it's never been proven that the Earth is moving. And that's true. There's absolutely no evidence that the Earth is moving.
What?
Do you agree that there's evidence that it's moving with respect to the sun?
No. The sky is what's moving, not the Earth. We're absolutely stationary.
Mean?
No,
but just what it looks like. It's just what it looks like, Andy.
That's exactly what Einstein was trying to teach to you. Hey, Andy, stop the sharing.
I don't believe it. I don't subscribe to you.
Can you stop the sharing, SB?
Yeah, stop
sure.
sharing. Yeah, stop sharing.
Where do you kill it?
On the upper left, screen share. Yeah, okay. That's what Einstein was trying to explain, that motion, in any case, it's relative. So there's nothing in the universe that you necessarily have to use as a point of non-movement. You can say, okay, the sun is not moving. You're going to see the planets revolving around the sun. You can say the Earth is not moving, and then you'll see that all of these the sun and the other planets, they're all moving around the Earth. You can define your point of non-movement to be anything you like. That's what he was trying to show.
So you're aware of the Michelson-Gale experiments of them trying to identify the ether and Airy's failure. They call it Airy's failure, of him trying to identify parallax with the stars by filling his telescope full of water. You guys are aware of all this stuff?
I'm not aware of it.
No.
You see it. You got to look into it closer, guys. Seriously. I mean, I know. I just look like
If it brought anything,
asshole.
you could explain it to us. What did this experiment prove in your view?
Okay, well, Airy, they call it Airy's failure. What he did is he filled his telescope with water because he figured if the sunlight, if the Earth is moving, then the light of the star coming in is going to move at a different rate when it goes through water than if it's just passing through the air. And when he did it, nothing happened. So they call it a failure. But what it proves is that it's not moving. The sky is moving, but the Earth is absolutely still and stable, just like it appears to be. It doesn't feel like it's moving.
Wait.
We don't feel like we're flying.
Wait. How about when we look up in the sky, in the starry sky, why, depending on the time of year or where you are on the Earth, do you see different constellations?
Because the sky is moving, and part of it's visible sometimes, and part of it's not.
So the sky, so what you're saying is we're standing still, and the universe around us is moving.
Well, I mean, if you want to think of it as a universe, I guess that's your choice. I just see it as it's probably what do they call it? Sonoluminescence. You know what that is, JF? Star in a jar. Has ever seen that?
I'm not even aware of that. What is it?
No, you don't know what sonoluminescence is?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so what they did in the laboratory is they take a huge beaker flask and they fill it full of, I don't know if it's water or another kind of liquid, and they put a bubble in there suspended inside of the beaker, and then they hit the bubble with a sound wave. And when the bubble collapses, it creates a light. It creates a star, okay? They call it a star in a jar. That's what it looks like, okay? So if you look at the HD footage of people shooting the sky nowadays with Coolpix cameras and stuff, there seems to be, it looks like the stars are floating in a fluid. It looks liquid. It looks like there's something up there that they're suspended in, that it's not, I mean, I don't believe in outer space. I don't see any evidence for it existing except for a bunch of Jesuits and Freemasons having fun thumbing their nose at you and making you believe in something that doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. We can't confirm it. We're not going to jump on the next SpaceX mission and head up there and take a look. So if you want to believe it, it's okay. I just don't believe it anymore. I don't see it.
What would convince you?
I guess what would convince me was to jump into a rocket and go up to high enough to be like, okay, I see it.
GoFundMe. Let's start a GoFundMe. Me, JF,
send SB to space.
I'd
rather you guys have the money to keep
on those experiments. We should have used SB.
Real fast, a super chat just came in. The bad virus, 20 pounds. The Earth only has form within the context of the decoding brain. In its true form, it is merely just energy, vibrations, devoid of separation from anything else. This is a completely different theory. JF,
it's somewhat true. I mean, it's somewhat true, this super chat, but it's just the idea that the special reconstructions we have in our brain are, of course, limited to our senses, and our senses do not really reveal the structure of the universe. That's true.
I'm serious.
But we have glimpses at it.
I'd bring SB to space. I would.
Oh yeah.
Out of all the flat earthers, I'd bring SB.
SB seems to be limited to anything that E can experience, but the nature
not
of
100%, but a lot closer to that than just accepting carte blanche what other people tell me. I'm not 100%.
Are you religious?
I am, but not like most people. I'm just as far out in that category as I am as a flat earther. See, I'm not. I don't believe in the circling map. If you do what I said and start to really observe the moon, where the moon arrives on the horizon, over time, whether it has to do with believing in a sphere or a flat earth doesn't matter. If you start to observe the moon, you'll see things that make you question, how that can be explained, and because the moon jumps. So
wait, what?
It jumps in the sky. The moon jumps from one night till the next as it greets you on the horizon.
Troll, come on.
I'm not a troll.
It has too. Because if you don't recognize that the moon goes in round around the Earth, you need super jumps to explain the trajectory of the moon that we see. So that's what SB is stuck with. By denying a very simple truth that could help him understand the world simply, he has to invent jumps. That's
No,
just where
it's not
you're
just
at.
me though, JF. That's just it. So
Wait,
why
hang on. SP.
All flat earthers.
It's the most like basic principle of gravity that mass pulls things in. So if we got the sun here, that's huge, that has a massive amount of mass, and we have rocks that fly by it will get pulled into its orbit until it fixes its orbit, right? And these rocks, which are our planets, have smaller rocks, which are moons, around those orbiting because of the mass. This is actually how rockets get to the moon or to other planets. It orbits around the Earth because of the mass, is able to push over to one side, and it whips itself out into like an oval shape into the mass of the moon and pushes back with fuel. It's very hard to explain with just my hands. And then it will be in orbit. Mass is what pulls things in.
we all understand what they taught us. Told us to believe, Andy. We all understand that. I mean, everybody. The thing is, okay. So all the people that are fucking flat earthers out there, whether they believe way out weird flat earth theories like I do, that are very different than what you'll find on YouTube from Mark Sargent, from Eric DeBay, from Jeranism, from all these guys, that I think they're all controlled opposition. I think they brought this whole thing out to divide people so that guys like us, the three of us, well, maybe we can get along, but not 100%, right? Because Sean's fucking stupid because he thinks the Earth's flat. And we're smart because we still believe in the blue.
I don't hate you because that.
No. I'm not saying. I'm saying that's the intention. That's the
Mm.
purpose of the whole thing. Because what they're doing is they're bringing us into finally a system that, you know, it's Alex Jones would call it the New World Order and all this bullshit. But they're creating a global governance system. They're writing the laws for it. And they're putting them all in place in nations all over the world. And it's called communitarianism. If you guys really want to look up and study something, it's way more important than flat Earth. Other than that, you should identify flat Earth as a dividing factor. They want everyone to be polarized. They want the left versus the right, the blacks versus the whites, the men versus the women, the straights versus the gays, the flat earthers versus the globe earthers.
Once
they've got everybody divided, once everyone's divided enough and fighting enough, then they can integrate everybody into a unified system of control. They already have a unified system of control to a degree, but they want it to be more refined. And I think that's what really this shit's all about. So, and it works.
Circumstances in which you would accept knowledge from someone else that you haven't experienced. You mentioned that you were trusting sometimes some other people. What are your criteria for trusting this knowledge?
Well, I don't know. It starts with not having a history of dishonesty, you know. Like, so for example, if I were to DM you on Twitter and say, hey, man, I'm studying CRISPR-Cas9. I'm looking at Craig Venter. I'm looking at genetic modifications. I'm looking at all this stuff. And I shoot you a question, say, JF, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. I don't fully understand it. Could you help me out? When you answer me, I think you'd be honest as a neurobiologist, someone who is very experienced and understands that area better than I do. I don't see any reason why you would give me anything less than a straight answer, especially knowing that I saw in the past you say that you have your doubts or you're that you're not necessarily okay with the idea of, you know, what you can do with lateral gene transfer and stuff like that. At least that's what I thought you said, that the idea of genetic modification was something that you didn't.
But at what point do you say JF is not controlled opposition, but Eric Dubai on the flat earth question is controlled opposition?
Well, I'd say Eric DeBay shows himself as controlled opposition when he takes other flat earthers as his enemy. He puts on a dress and pretends to sing hip hop songs. These things. This is the same thing you see people like Sean Hannity. You can find him in a dress. All these guys you can find in a dress. That's because they're complicit in something. That, you know, have you ever seen that Dave Chappelle where he's doing in the actor studio interview? Have you guys watched that interview?
No.
Dave Chappelle, and he's talking about how they're trying to get him to wear a dress. and he won't do it, and they're really, really trying hard to twist
Oh
his
yeah,
arm.
this one I saw.
Right?
So,
Okay, well, so that's not a joke. That's a way for them to show whether or not the person they're working with is submissive or complicit.
So your criteria for believing someone else is whether they wore a dress in the past?
No, it's whether or not they. Well, so you guys.
What if you wore one on your own free will? Like it wasn't someone
that's
telling
different.
you to. Okay.
You know that's different. If a guy wants to wear a dress, that's his business. That's different than signaling someone who's your controller or giving in to someone who's your producer or your manager.
Wait, hang on. So you're telling me that there are actors out there who their managers were like, "Yo, wear this dress. Trust me."
Yeah. What? Or did you guys really aren't very? You're pretty naive people.
Hey! Pretty naive. I have a 110 IQ. We proved this. Go ahead. Let us know.
Yeah, well, mine's just slightly higher than that. Believe it or not. Andy,
are there pictures of this?
I don't know if I screen captured it or not. Later that night, I took the test too. I came.
No. Sorry. No. I believe you. No, I meant about the people in dresses.
Oh yeah. If you search, actors, actresses, newscasters, all in dresses, you'll see a theme for sure. I'm trying to think. Who's the guy that just got kicked out of the Senate? I forgot his name. He's a leftist. Everybody hates him. That's on the right. Just got kicked out of the Senate for being inappropriate, holding his hands up in front of that lady's tits during the ISO tour or whatever. I just can't think of his name. Used to be a stand-up comedian. You guys don't know what I'm talking about? Somebody in the chat, help me out here.
Somebody in the chat will probably help out. But here. Oh, wait, what is this? Is SB making a legit statement? Let's do a little screen share here, JF, if you want to check this out. But
what is it?
Look, celebrity men forced to wear dresses.
Oh yeah,
and then there's Vin Diesel. So this
was described by Dave Chappelle.
And he wouldn't do it, and so they finally gave up on trying to force him to do it, and they actually had an extra script ready for a different show. They pushed really hard,
What?
To get. It's a
a
mechanism of control, man. They're all.
Well, I know Hollywood's full of shady business. I mean, we all know who runs Hollywood. JF, if you want to add the echo there.
I mean, the idea of Dave.
Yeah, throw the echo on that.
Them.
I know somebody asked that. What about the JQ? Well, I mean, I've been studying. Obviously, I'm a conspiracy nutcase. In case you guys didn't notice. I've been studying all that shit forever. So yeah, you want to look into Zionism and Jewish control and where it all comes from. Yeah. I think.
Do you think it's
that the big time bankers from back in the day? No, I don't think it is. I think the Jews are a willing scapegoat.
Oh, I've never heard this angle.
So the ancient bankers, the Medicis, and then like the Knights Templar. This is where you can trace banking back to to Florence, Italy, and to the Knights Templar. This is where the banking hierarchy really started, as far as we know. And at that time, they had the Jews remain as merchants because as good Catholics, they weren't supposed to be handling money, especially not supposed to be charging interest or usury. So then the Jews ended up buying titles of nobility from the people with the most money. And since then, they've been the known scapegoat.
So what he's saying, Andy, is that the Jews that we know are not the real Jews. That the Jews we know are Jews.
Oh, what?
I don't know. I feel like I'm being strawmanned, but I don't know how.
Wait,
I'm just kidding.
I was like, are you talking about like they're like leveled up Jews, like level 99?
Well, he's saying there's a conspiracy behind the Jews, basically. Is that
absolutely?
Okay. Well, so it's not the Jewish conspiracy. He's saying there's something bigger than this.
There is, but Zionism is a huge deal, man. If you guys want to really find out something about Zionism, then I would read Douglas Reed. Douglas Reed was a famous author, and they completely they half erased him from history and really smeared his name because he wrote a book called Controversy of Zion. And I'd say most people should stay away from it because they end up being lousy Jew haters for no reason. It's not your Jewish bartender or your attorney down the street that's some kind of like enemy. I'd say that's the problem. Would you guys agree with that? that typically it just creates unnecessary ridicule and hatred for people to get too far into this shit.
Too far into what shit?
Like
The JQ especially.
I think what he's trying to say is like, do you think that like while there could be a conspiracy involving Jewish people, is there a point to scrutinize every Jewish person that you meet because not all of them are part of this conspiracy? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I agree. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think that's where a lot of people end up because there is lots of evidence of Jews being involved behind the scenes in Hollywood, especially, and banking, especially. You know, so then people exaggerate that to not being able to trust the cab driver or something. You know.
I got my hair cut by a Muslim dude yesterday, and then him and his buddy were talking Arabic. I'm like, they're gonna kill me. They know I'm from YouTube. They've heard me say some shit. I mean, it's half true. It's half true. No. The guy was cool. But no, I see what you're saying. That all of these things that exist right now are there to tear us apart and bring unrest. Now, why would people want unrest in the world?
Well, because it's they call it problem reaction solution. They call it a Hegelian dialectic. You know, if you can polarize everyone to the point, like in America right now, we see it bad because they're tripping on the gun issue. So everyone's grabbing for their guns if they're gun people, and everyone's screaming, you know, get rid of the guns if they're against it. So that makes two sides again. So you got blacks versus whites. You got non-guns versus guns. You got, you know, religious versus not religious. Flat earther versus not flat earther versus actually, globe earther.
I know, JF, we were discussing on the last show about doing a gun debate, and we know a lot of pro-gun people. I found myself an anti-gun person. Atheism is unstoppable.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and
this would be so fun.
He may I just say one thing to atheism is unstoppable. Love the guy. He's a great person. He's a little bit of an asshole because he starts off his second last video with a video. Me and him had like a little war back in the day, and he has me saying something about him being cringe, and then he has a stutter.org ad right after. like stutter.org, and then we're talking in DMs. He's like, yeah, I'm down for that. That sounds cool, man. That sounds cool. And then he just throws in like, but you do sound like a fucking stuttering retard. I'm like, all right, man. Well, you didn't have to. He's like, at least it was a female babysitter who abused you. I'm like, all right, well, I'll DM you soon when we come up with the plan. By the way, David,
the way to handle
he's funny.
AIU is to essentially assume that he's a woman. Everything goes better when you do that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, David Sherratt.
He's gonna be hateful and loving at the same time. He's gonna want to hurt you, and he's gonna want to suck your dick at the same time.
Yeah.
This is AIU. He's a ball of emotion. Just treat him like a woman, and everything will be good.
No, I'm not trying to start drama with him. I love AIU. He bashes me.
I'll be right back, you guys. Just like I got something to come up. I'm coming right back.
All right,
no problem.
Now, while SB is leaving, Andy, I'd like to take some news about your 24 hours with Shahid.
Oh, we fought an hour after.
Oh God, you couldn't do 24 hours of peace.
No, it was honestly, we were arguing about the 24-hour thing. And then we were like, wait, hang on. And then we stopped. And then since then to now, it's been beautiful. We had a great night last night. Today I went to I dropped her off at her family's. I went to my family's for Easter, and then I picked her up, and then we hung out and stuff. And then after this show, I'm gonna go hang out with her, and we're gonna order some food. Or she is ordering food. She's actually angry at me because I'm trolling her with what I want to order, but everything's great.
All right, so you did a 24-hour, but it wasn't the 24-hour that we.
It started an hour after, but we've been great for about 30 hours.
So how do you feel following that?
Fantastic right now. We were both very self-aware. We're like, okay, this is obviously what JF was talking about. This is getting pretty dark right now. Hang on, let me read some super chats, catch up a little bit. Mitch Lowry, $10. The Earth can't be flat because it's hollow. What's your man? $10. Gravity is a model with equations that actually predict reality. Does flat Earth have a model with equations that predict reality? If not, shut the fuck up. Come back when you can hang with serious society. Junka Saboja, €5. R.I.P. Boogie. Yeah, I heard a Boogie died earlier today, so R.I.P. Boogie. Major Williams, $5. On a flat Earth, shouldn't we be able to see all the way to the edge from a tall tower?
No.
Uh-oh. He's back. You heard that one. Go ahead. Hang on, let me just pound through a couple more. Duncan Massive, $2. My mama said the Earth was flat. End of story. Alvrum, $5. Satellite dishes point to satellite in geosynchronous. That's what I said it the first time. You heard it. Rewind it. Orbit in northern hemisphere. They point southward and upward. Orbital mechanics is real, buddy. Metman, £5. How can you get longer than 12 hours of daylight on a flat Earth in South America or Australia without permanently illuminating the northern continents?
With 2 suns. That's how.
What? Okay, hang on. Hold on.
2 suns. There's 2 suns and 4 moons projected in through a lens in the ceiling of the flat Earth. Andy, come on. Don't you know how this thing works? You guys haven't really done any research on the flat Earth.
I have.
You're a very different flat earther from the mainstream flat earthers, by the way.
That's true. We all started with the circle map, but then you realize that those guys are all fronting. They moved the goalposts. That's what that is. That whole circle map, the AE map, that's them moving the goalposts so that you don't take a look at what the real reality that you're living in. The real reality you're living in, and actually, to answer your question about being religious, so this is going to sound religious, but it's not because I'm religious that I say this, okay? So if you look at the book of Enoch, which is a book that used to be in the Bible, but it's not anymore.
Oh, Enoch, we've had him on our show before. Go ahead.
yeah. Not Mike Enoch. That's a different book. So if you look at the 72nd chapter of what they call First Enoch or 1 Enoch, it gives this elaborate description of the world, and it describes the sun and the moon traveling in 6 gates. You know, there's 6 gates in the east and 6 gates in the west. So what we did is we started to mirror that, look at that as a group and start to report to each other in a group that we have. And one guy came up with a pretty solid model of how that would work if the light is being projected in as 2 beams from the top. And it sounds really, really complicated and stupid. You know, I don't expect you guys to take me seriously because you don't even take the idea that the Earth's flat seriously. But here you've got hundreds of thousands of people all around the world that used to be globe earthers just like you.
All around the world?
Yeah, sure. You can still say around.
Andy. We won. It's over.
Around.
Yeah, kick SB.
He just said it all around.
I'm just kidding.
You can be around on a square.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't think you guys have taken a very close look at it. I appreciate you entertaining everyone to have me on here, but I really don't think you've taken a close look at it. You haven't, because otherwise you'd have doubts that are legitimate, like everyone else. It's not that there's.
I have looked at it. I looked through a ton of videos. I was doing this about 2 years ago. And then in the past 2 days, I've been listening to some videos, and there's like a few websites I went on to that were links from Flat Earth Society. But like JF just said, you are much more different than these people from Flat Earth Society. So it's like most people believe the Earth is a sphere. Then there's the Flat Earth Society, and then what do you call you guys?
Oh, I'd call it Enoch Flat Earth.
Enoch, yeah.
If you look up Enoch, you're going to find a guy named Rob Skiba. See, these guys all promote a very similar model for the most part. Now, you've got all the guys that do the circle, you know, the pizza pan like JF had there, and then you've got people opposed to them that'll tell you that the Earth is square, but that like East and West act like Pac-Man, right? Which I think is nonsense. Like we don't see any evidence for that you could, you know, that there's like a glitch in space-time and you travel east and you arrive west. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've got a here. Let me.
Oh,
I don't want to go back to.
Oh, like a Final
Go ahead.
Fantasy world map. You know, when you play Final
Yeah,
Fantasy?
yeah, like Pac-Man. You know, you go out the left side of the screen and you come in the right.
Yeah,
hand side
Final
of the screen.
Fantasy 6. You fly to the edge of the earth, and now you're on the other side, like a fucking warp thing. Yeah, no,
Yeah, there's some people that actually promote that kind of a model. There's a channel called Free Energy, and it's spelled AE, like AE Energy.
I want free energy on our show.
That you, he might be willing to come on here. I'm sure now that you've opened the gate, you're gonna get. I'll tell you what's gonna happen now. This show's gonna end, and you guys are just gonna be buried in flat Earth requests from guys that are like, that guy sucks, he's stupid, he doesn't represent us. Now you give us another shot against JF so that we can come, and they're never gonna stop. And I think the reason that Jay Dyer blocked me is legit, because as soon as I retweet, hey, I'm doing JF flat Earth debate, he wants to block me because he knows, oh my God, even more fucking flat Earth bots are going to come. You know, I listened to an interview the other day with Jay Dyer where he's like, he's just trying to go live, and he's like having to block 30 accounts because flat earthers are such assholes, either the real ones are or the bots are, that they just fill up any comment section anywhere and scream, flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth. And they don't stop, you know, like you can't do anything. You could be watching My Little Pony live stream, and someone would be in the comments like, "But the Earth is flat." You know, it's annoying, but I think it's intentional.
Actually,
I think they're doing it on purpose.
What do you think about the new documentary, Convex Earth? I think.
Yeah, I tweeted that one out. I watched it, and I think a couple of the experiments they do are pretty. The visual is pretty good. You know, they made a huge array of lasers and shot it all the way across the lake, and you can see from their airplane footage that it's a huge expanse across the lake. It's flat, and the laser is parallel to the surface of the lake, and it's over. You know, according to whatever measurement or calculation you want to do, that should be showing some kind of a curve. They did the same thing with the radio waves, and then they also did the same thing with what they call it, the theodolite is the machine you use to do geodesic surveying. And they took two buildings that were really far away from each other and measured the top and bottom and found them to be the same height, so that they're not. That's the other thing is if you're on a globe, when you fly out of Manhattan, JF, why don't the skyscrapers slowly start to point away from you so that you can see that the demonstration of curvature? As you're moving away from them, why don't the tops of the buildings start to point away from you?
Oh, the pointing probably happens, but it's probably at such a small scale you couldn't see it to the naked eye. You would be so far that you wouldn't see the skyscraper before you can notice this angle.
Right. So in that documentary that you just mentioned, the same thing, that's the experiment they did is what disproves your theory on it would be such a subtle distance. So instead they took the theodolite, they measured the bottom of the building and the top of the building at great distance from one another. No difference. There is no leaning or tilting.
So they're not controlled opposition? That's what I was wondering.
Oh, they are, but that doesn't mean they're not going to bring out a whole bunch of positive information. Just like Alex Jones is definitely. Would you guys agree that Alex Jones is not just an organic, natural speaker, or do you not see him as someone who's a kind of a controlled opposition figurehead to make guys like you look crazy, right?
I don't see evidence that Alex Jones is doing anything else than following his own path. I don't see evidence that he's being controlled by any agency or whatever.
Yeah. I think he's got to believe what he believes. Like he's just, or maybe he's exaggerating his beliefs for entertainment purposes. I love when he's like in the middle of something and he's like, "Oh, I just got a text. Oh, I can't show the text, but trust me, it's a text that will prove everything I'm saying is right." And then you're like, he seems like just entertainment, in my opinion. I think he knows what he is too. I'm pretty sure he's self-aware when he's on Joe Rogan talking about interdimensional pedophiles. Like, I don't know if you saw that episode. That was
I saw that. No,
was
I don't really watch Alex Jones, but I mean, I catch clips of him.
That was
I love that they. Did you guys see that song that they did? That they put together that song, like somebody made a indie folk song out of one of his rants.
Yes, I did see that. That was
great.
Hilarious.
That song gets stuck in my head.
Yeah.
So,
That
so
being
JF,
said,
what?
on your comments on the convex Earth documentary, I disagree that these experiments demonstrate that the Earth is flat or anyhow disprove the round Earth theory. There are many things that these guys clearly have not taken into account. Even if you believe their data, which I would be doubtful about, but let's say we were to believe that they did the experiment correctly. They take many they take some things into account that you shouldn't take into account. For example, they don't take into account refraction. So they think that because the signal passes from one place of the Earth to the other, there needs to be a straight line between the two. When we know that radio waves can bounce, we know that refraction phenomenon can change the direction of radio waves. So that yes, you can have curved rays of radio wave or light on Earth. They also don't take into account gravity. They also don't take into account tides. They seem to believe that because you are at a level of water wherever you emit the light, that the other place, the level of water will be the same. But because tides vary locally, it's not necessarily the sea level of one place is not necessarily the sea level of the other. So no, it doesn't disprove round Earth at all.
Oh, I mean, I would disagree, but I would also say that they give some really basic experiments that do have some credence. They definitely. I don't understand how anyone could think that what do you call it, a lighthouse, for example. I mean, a lighthouse, you see the ocean is flat when you're on top of the ocean in a boat. It appears flat 360 degrees around you. It's, to me, it's a really weak argument to say that you think that boats go over the curve of the Earth because they're vanishing into the distance, when all the video footage and everything that you can find, and even doing the experiment yourself, all you have to do is zoom in and they come back. So what appears to be them graduating down and you're losing sight of them is just angular resolution. It's the angular resolution and perspective. And yes, what you said is true, that refraction should be taken into consideration, and how much humidity is in the air will determine how far you can see and how effectively it's true.
Personally, I don't use the boat argument because there are many phenomena of refraction, and there's the fact that the human eye is not good at these scales, and so personally, I never use the boat argument.
I didn't think you would, because it's a weak. I think it's a pretty weak argument.
I'd like to hear what you had to say about tides. It seems that water does fall onto the ground the way we described earlier. It seems that water respects the rules of gravity that we've agreed to label gravity together at the beginning. So do you deny that the effect related to tides is gravity related?
No, I don't think it has to do with the gravity. No, I think it's back, like I said before. I think that the tides are electromagnetic and have to do more with the sun than they do with the moon.
Okay, but why is it that the tides follow rhythmically the periodic appearance of the moon at the perpendicular direction where you are located? That is, when the moon is above you, the tide is higher.
Okay, so the sun and the moon work together in a circuit. I don't know how you would describe it without bringing up pictures and everything. And if, like I said, I don't really want to do that, because to me that's like inside baseball on something that almost nobody knows anything about except for me and the group that I'm in. And
it's the mass of the moon affecting the water.
Right, this is what they taught us in school, right? That the mass of the,
No, we see it. We see when the moon's there, the water's here, and when the moon's there, the water's here.
I got to give you props, Andy. I love how angry you get. I thought maybe I'd get JF more frustrated by being deadpan and cool about the whole thing, but it's you that's flopping like a bird out.
I think you're cool. I think you're interesting to talk to. And don't take me yelling "what" in the microphone as me saying "fuck you." Like I have no.
No, I don't.
Yeah, so
I'm very happy with the nature of the whole conversation. This is what I wanted. I wanted it to be fun and entertaining, and not us being too serious. And,
well,
like
that's the thing is,
other, so.
it's been proven. This
That's
is why I'm angry.
If it was proven, then there wouldn't be thousands and thousands and thousands of people all saying that they no longer accept the proof and that they're taking a look at it and that they're looking
That
into
is
it.
not true. Something can be proven and can be denied by a million people. It's not the amount of people who believe in something that defines whether it's true or not. You don't have anything to deny the fact that when the moon is above a place on Earth, this place has higher tide.
No, I don't have anything to deny that. I just say that it's because of the electricity of the sun affecting the water and not the moon itself. But I don't think the moon has any physical body.
Wait.
Moon-
There's lots of things in there. Do you think the moon exists?
Yeah, the moon exists.
How many
But
moons?
it doesn't have a physical body?
No, it's the moon and sun are both projections. They're projected in.
You
to
mean
this, into
you
this
mean
realm we're in.
suns?
Suns, yeah.
Oh,
The
there-
moons and suns. There's more than one moon too.
But this projection, whenever that projection is above a place of Earth, you agree that there are tides rising.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, how many moons are there? You said 4?
Yeah.
What?
Uh,
Sorry,
Well,
Jeff. Sorry. I'm angry. Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
Are these 4 moons rotating? Are they rotating in circle above the flat Earth? Are they rotating around the flat Earth?
Well, what you have is you have the real sun and moon outside of the top of the Earth, and a projection of the light of those things like a hologram into this realm. So you have 2 suns and 4 moons.
May I say one
So
thing?
why is
projected.
it that it's when the projection passes over us that the water is attracted upward? What is this effect? The tide.
I don't have an explanation for it, Jeff. I don't have an explanation for the tide.
May I say one
I
thing?
think you do.
Yeah.
Just before Andy says it, I think you do have an explanation. You've recognized that big masses were pulling stuff. You've recognized that gravity was a thing.
Here's what I want to say. He's saying, right, JF? He's saying that the idea, the notion that we're on a sphere is ridiculous. But the amount of things that you have said, SB, sound way more epic and intense and hard to believe than what we believe. Like instead
Oh,
of
I agree. I agree, Andy. That like
you agree,
somebody
was that a claim to loss there?
No, absolutely.
Oh.
I've not. All I've seen you guys do is try and interrogate me for information about what I do believe, but not offer me any evidence of the Earth actually being a spinning ball, flying through space. It's all flying around the sun. The sun's flying around some other center that we don't even know what is.
We've just demonstrated that if you agree to this model, you can explain day and night, you can explain tides in a way that if you don't, you will have to invent 4 moons and 2 suns and systems of projections that were put together in space.
Well, either one's as good as the other.
No, because one doesn't have an explanation for why are there systems of projection in space.
So you guys can't understand the idea that if someone does have full reign over the Earth, greater than what you imagine they do, like everyone imagines that this government controls this area, that government controls that area. So if there's actually a greater level of control, you don't think that they would keep it from you? That they would give you something that seems feasible, give you a model that works reasonably well enough so that you're at ease with it and comfortable with it. And then they can hide land, they can hide resources, they can hide the true nature of the realm that you exist in. And keep you on a false metaphysical plane where they understand a real metaphysical plane.
But I don't get the reason they're doing this. Like what's the
Why would you deceive a bunch of humans about fucking tides?
Oh, about everything. It's about everything. And the reason to do it is so that they create people like you guys. So that now you don't believe that you're special. You don't believe that you have a natural place in the world. Instead, you believe, that you grew out of monkeys, that you're flying through space, you're insignificant. Now you can be hedonistic, or you can not be as significant in the world as you truly are. I see you guys as super significant, like really important. Like I consider this a huge blessing to be talking to you.
No, fair enough. But
I feel like you probably think less of yourselves than you should because you believe this bullshit model of the universe.
No. Here's the issue. People think that if you don't believe in God or if you don't believe in X, Y, and Z, that we're just giving up to being, you know, sophisticated. Like, oh, we're just there is no God, therefore I'll be part of Bukakis or something like really out there or something, right? But you could still believe, not believe in God or believe in certain things, but also see yourself and know that you want to live the best life possible and treat others with respect without having to believe certain things. Like, well, I don't think there's any atheist who's like, I'm going to do heroin because I'm an atheist.
Well, that there probably is, but they're probably really rare.
Yeah, it's probably a couple guys out there. I'll admit it. Yeah.
You know, they just don't give a fuck. So they've fallen into hedonism, and now they're going to let hedonism completely own them. I don't want you guys to think I'm judging you. I'm saying that this is the way that the whole world is. I don't see you as undervaluing yourselves or doing poorly in life in any way. You guys are doing fucking great. You got the biggest YouTube show that's the most controversial thing. You're getting lots of guests, lots of pull. I hope you're really happy, and I hope you're banking a lot of money, you know. I do. But at the same time, I think that the world has been designed in such a way. I think that culture is created. Like the whole 60s counterculture is created and manufactured and put out into the world. To turn the generation of the 60s against their parents was a plan by the same kind of people that do eugenics, to all these people that are the elites of the past. They all come up with a plan to manufacture culture and then disseminate it into the world. I think that's what the flat earth is that they're starting the process of bringing us into a new generation of culture creation. And they're going to bring us into a technological communitarian world. You know, I know that word probably doesn't mean anything to most of you guys, but you should look it up, because communitarianism is the future legal framework and architecture for the world. And what it is a combination of capitalism. It's like the best of both worlds from capitalism and communism. And if you take a look at it, if you search communitarian law, it's real. Whereas people call it a technocracy, right? You guys all hear about this. Here comes the AI and everything's coming, that we're going to all eventually be uploaded into the machine, right? It's going to be artificial intelligence and or transhumanism.
Or we already are in the machine.
We might be, are we? I don't know. We're close.
Maybe this is just an amazing simulation. Maybe technology has already surpassed what we know now, and we are experiencing the best technology that was made 1,000,000 years ago.
I think that's part. I think what you're saying, even though I know you're exaggerating a little, I think what you're saying is true.
I don't know if I am. I know these are like stoner conversations, like, yo, man, what if this isn't even? But I'm just saying, look where technology is. Look where VR is. Soon they're going to have things where you plug into the back of your head and you're just...
I don't want to look inside of your VR, if that's all right, Andy.
Don't worry, that gigabyte drive is destroyed. But if you, like, imagine that. But, yeah, I know it's stoner talk, but you never know. I mean, if you believe that the earth is flat, then that... I mean, and if you couldn't believe in God, then you can believe in that, right? Or UFOs or anything, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I do believe in God, but not in any typical way that, you know, as I see it as a singularity, or you know, it's not the way any of the regular religions describe it. I do believe that Jesus Christ was a person, and I was raised as a Christian, and I do follow the example of Jesus, but I'm not stuck on just Bible thumping and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
That's sort of where I'm at. I'm sort of like, if there is a God and a higher power, it's not what anyone could describe, or what anyone. It's beyond our realm of thought. I think
it's beyond description and understanding. You know.
Oh, and
I've been studying a lot of Gnosticism. That's how I would. You guys should get some Gnostic, a really excellent Gnostic on your show. Like get Miguel Connor or somebody like that on the show.
Yo, someone in the chat just said Andy's stutter is just a glitch in his program. Here, let me read some super chats.
We need to nerf it.
Here, I'm gonna read some super chats.
Yeah, hit it.
Yeti Fright 1488. Much love from Quack Quack and the Yeti. Dix for Wangsky, and yes, JF is still welcome to watch. Elliot 499. The world is actually resting on the back of a turtle. That's from what, Stephen King, the Tower movies, or book.
It's an ancient myth.
But Stephen King popularized it with his Tower book, I think. Falios, $2. NASA's $19.5 billion budget is the motive for the lie. Oh, so you're saying what people saying are for the getting the benefit would be the money that NASA receives from the government.
Yeah, they're funding all these black ops and secret shit, and they're taking all the money and they're giving you guys some CGI pictures and like some Freemasons floating in swimming pools. You know, you never looked at the astronauts all underwater in the swimming pool practicing, or saw the news footage where they said that an astronaut was drowning in outer space.
Interesting.
You guys didn't see any of that stuff?
Yeah,
you need to really look up NASA swimming pool,
that.
NASA fake space.
No, I did see that swimming pool stuff, but I thought that was to feel what it would feel like if you were on the moon, like to know the feeling of like no.
How does that make sense? Like to me, that's another great question. If you want to keep going with super chats, I'll
Here, I'll pound these fast. Brendan Hansen, $10. JF, how is Venus the brightest star in the night sky when it is the second planet in the solar system order?
Venus is not a bright star.
There we go. My count, $2. Explain how Coriolis effect occurs with flat Earth. Billion Pig, $2. What about the people that have circumvented the world? SX0, $2. You can lose GPS signal. I'm a truck driver, I know. CS, £5. Question of Alger. Why do planes require less fuel when flying in an arc over a flat map compared to the taking the path of the hypotenuse? You're not a.
Yeah, I'd have to think about it.
That's a question for a pilot.
Let me throw this in there real quick, Andy. If you haven't seen there's a bunch of shit coming out right now that's like alleging that airplanes don't use fuel at all. So if you want to have some fun on YouTube with some really high, strange, weird, far out conspiracy, go look that up. That jet planes don't even use fuel. This is one of the newest conspiracies. Maybe that's why. Maybe they're lying completely about the fuel, and they don't even use any. So they're just telling you that they use more when it's flying one way versus another.
There's the giant pump, and they put it in the plane. How would it fly without fuel? How?
It's just pushing air. That's it, man. It needs a little bit of fuel to start it up, and after that, it's just pushing air. Now, I'm not saying that I believe that. This is just something I found because let me level with you one more time. I am so fucking sick of flat Earth. To just get ready, I spent a month, like every day, like reviewing all the old stuff that I used to study like 2 years ago. Because I'm afraid of that guy in the gray coat right there with his scruffy beard and his French accent. I'm afraid of him. You know, because he's smart.
That's sort of how I feel with like the SJW stuff. It's sort of like I was very passionate, but after like 2-3 years of looking at it, you're sort of like, all right, well, I get what you're saying. Hang on, let me just pound through a few more.
Yeah, go for it.
Base Tech Bot, $5. I'm an extraterrestrial, so I know a few things humans do not. Gravity is the curvature of space-time caused by strings of energy moving inside quarks. Madam Monet, $2. How can the Earth be flat if it's hollow? Travit Andros, 1488. Trans engaging in mentally ill behavior. Color me shocked. That's on the Blair White thing. Cody Nick, $2. Imagine my shock. Thomas K, £2. You don't debate about facts. Wayne Russell, $2. Paul Joseph Watson really needed a bidget. Blunderbuss, $2. Ask him if the moon is flat too.
The moon's a projection. We don't know what it is. The moon's
a projection of what? A projector in the sky?
It's a projection of something that's outside of this realm.
What we didn't have an answer to yet is why is this projection, when it finds itself above a certain point of Earth, the ocean rises at that point. The tide rises.
What I'll do, JF, is I'll go back and look at my my saltwater information that I had, and I'll look at it and see how it correlates, and I'll send it to you in a DM, or I'll tag you. I'll write something or put something up. I don't have a simple answer. So the sun and the moon, it's kind of like the sun charges the moon as they travel across the sky, and then the moon's light dissipates and then recharges again. So that I might be able to come up with a feasible model or a theory that would at least give you a satisfactory answer. But off the top of my head, I'm not prepared to answer your question.
Right here, I'll pound just through a few more. Paul Caesar, $5. Flat Earth makes no sense from a physics and entropy standpoint. Rain doesn't fall in flat 2D sheets. It falls in roughly spherical drops. Russia Bunny, $2. Explain night and day. How Wreck, $5. I'm not a flat earther, but I know they say it's a realm. Your picture means nothing, Andy. Think of a computer simulation, not Earth floating in space. I just took that picture because it was cool for change the theme up a little bit. CS, $2. Do you accept the validity of rockets like the V2? That's something we were talking about. Who mentioned that last time? The V2 rocket?
Yeah.
That was
we were talking on the last show.
Oh, with what's his face?
It was with a collar.
Yeah, with the one that's our buddy. The
Vlad.
Camera Sport, again, thank you for the $100 donation. That's amazing, man. We really appreciate it. Joshua Bowles, $10. What other space photos do you have for comparison to what you call fake as fuck? Alaris, $2. Secret balloons / blimps that you can just Google them. Yudi Fright, $5. JF deserves better than Andy. Message Odd TV on YouTube. Hashtag Dix Fawangsky. Okay, I'm gonna ban him real quick. 1 sec. Okay, no, I just got him to do that. David K. Elkins, $2. Andy's IQ has gone to his head, pun intended. Joshua Larson, $2. Cult of Dusty's even crazier little brother. Tony Canoli, $5. Leave the gravity, take the magnets. Cody Nick, $5. Ask him about Medicare's challenge at the end of his flat Earth video about comparing 2 longitude and latitude points in South America. Just 2 more. John CX, $10. So why do we lose cell service when we go up in the mountains? In theory, we should be getting closer to the satellite and cell service should be better. That's good point.
That's a good question.
JF?
What was the point? I was reading for some other super chat.
Okay.
The super chat said that as we ascend up into the mountains, that we oftentimes lose cell service. So why would that be if the satellites are above our heads? Why wouldn't we be getting better service?
As far as I know, cell service relies on cellular service relies on ground towers, and so mountains are indeed the obstacles to receiving signals.
So the satellites hit the towers that send it to your phone.
No, I don't know that cells rely on satellite.
A GPS.
I'm not an expert. GPS relies on satellite.
So why won't GPS work when...
I don't know that GPS doesn't work at the top of a mountain. Now, there might be heights on Earth that GPS has not been made to handle. I don't know that. I'm not a GPS specialist.
All right. Hey, man, nice shot. $10. He can prove the Earth is flat by throwing himself off the edge. Kimus, $1. Thank you. Paul Caesar, $2. Please show the Bart Sibrel Apollo footage. Not Lex, $5. Andy, you look different, smarter. Has something changed? JF, you can let everyone know about that. Jeff, what were you looking at, by the way? Were you looking at
Well, I
something
was
you wanted
reading
to?
because Brandon Anson was not satisfied by my earlier response concerning Venus, which was due to his misphrasing. And so he's now super chatting $25 and says, JF, I don't appreciate your answer. So I will play your semantic game. Why is Venus the brightest planet in the night sky while being the second planet in the solar order? I live in the southern USA and still see it at night. I was not aware, so that's why I Googled it. And the answer from sources that are found by Google, here I have earthsky.org. They say that the reflection percentage of the light for Venus is 70%, which is the highest percentage of reflection. So it absorbs less light. And they believe that the reason it is that the atmosphere contains droplets of sulfuric acid, which essentially make a smoother surface for the atmosphere of this planet, as opposed to planets that don't have atmosphere. So a smoother surface is more like a mirror, and then it sends back more light. What about that?
Oh, may I bring something up? Baked Alaska, love the guy, but he said that because he just put on his upcoming streams that he was gonna have a flat earther on a few days ago. So people were saying that we stole the idea from Baked Alaska. How long has this been scheduled for?
It's been scheduled for more than a month.
Oh, I texted him last night. You go fuck yourself. I mean, we're cool, obviously.
Did Baked Alaska pretend that we had copied, or was it a user on Twitter?
I think it was users, but it was users, but he ran with it.
Oh God!
And then he took the
Baked
IQ test.
Alaska is our number one fan. There's nothing on the Baked Alaska channel that we hadn't done first. He made ethno-state debates after we've done them. Now he's making flat earth debate after we've done them. Love to the guy, but wow, man, what a copy bitch.
I did tell him. I'm like,
now the blood sports are starting up. That should get something.
Yeah. No, I texted him. You know we're gonna trash you on the show now. He's like, no, please don't. I'm like, well, the IQ test thing, right? I was planning on doing an IQ test live for like a while until we finally did it, and then he apparently did an IQ test recently. I didn't see that. I didn't even know he did that until we had ours already planned. So he's acting like some of his people are like, oh my God, look what they're doing. And yeah, he did say on our show or on Kumite that his show started because it was an inspiration from our show. So we could technically still be allowed to steal all his ideas if we want.
There's literally the three main subjects that Baked Alaska has been exploring in the last month. All come from us first. Sorry, Baked.
Hey, Baked, throw me a fucking DM. I'm calling you out. I want to trash you live here on the show.
We are open to negotiating privately about a percentage of your super chats being on us.
No, honestly, I think there's got to be some 25%, 30%. Yeah, no offense, Baked. I mean, we love you, but
I think Grandpa Jim would want you guys to talk about this in private.
Yeah,
well, that's what I call Grandpa Jim.
Last time I aired out shit in public, it didn't go too well.
Yeah, Grandpa Jim, I saw that. I tune into the Kumite sometimes before work, and I had to laugh. I'm afraid of Metacore, even maybe more than JF. I think everyone should be afraid of Jim. Something's wrong with Jim in a good way, but it's dangerous.
People want to see the thing I keep seeing is AIU versus Metacore.
Oh,
but I don't know what they were talking about. Yeah,
I never thought about that until just now. Man, Kronos could probably make me look pretty stupid at this point too. I probably said some things that didn't, maybe non sequitur. I
think the one thing that was raised against USB on the chat is the moon is a projection. We don't know what it is, and that's a contradiction in the sense that, okay, it's a projection, but you admit you don't know what are the features of this projection. Therefore, you admit you don't know about the moon.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that's maybe I'll have to really rethink. You know, I'm kind of, I can't lie, I'm kind of nervous today to do this. You know,
It's
I
okay.
made a big
We can
folder
have
of
you
me.
again in the future.
You know, I made a big folder of memes and stuff just in case, but I really don't feel ready to try and like, you know, put on my stand up and with the laser pointer and pull down the map and be like, all right, gentlemen, let's understand these four moons and how they project in here. Are you ready? But I got a question for you, JF. Since you're the, you know, I want to ask for some sympathy from everybody that I'm actually debating Andy and JF. In case you guys didn't notice, Andy is not exactly being a neutral party here. It's me versus the hosts.
I honestly, JF and I were talking the other day, and JF asked me, he goes, "May you please do some research, and you know, jump in if you have to." And this is a subject that I find completely ridiculous, and I usually I want to bite my tongue and not. I appreciate. I mean, I'm not being a dick to you, am I?
No.
Good.
No,
I'm
just being a smart ass man. I'm having a great time. You know?
I'd love to have you on, talk about conspiracies and stuff too sometime, like whatever else.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, if I could be the liberalist czar of high strangeness.
Are you liberalist?
Well, a liberalist as far as
light?
You owning the liberalist. No, I'm not a liberalist light. If that's
okay. Welcome to okay.
So since you've been appointing people to positions in the Trapno state, I was thinking if I could be the czar of high strangeness, I would appreciate it. But if you'd reject me, I understand.
No, it's okay. I like. Wait, that's my car insurance. I don't want to write on that. Let me write it down. So it was the czar of.
High strangeness. Before we go to SB's question, there's the super chat coming back. Brendan and Son, another $25. Thank you so much for these donations. He says, "You are telling me it is highly reflective, right? And what does this reflection have to deal with seeing it on the night side of the Earth? The night side is pointed away from the sun and thus pointed away from Venus. Explain." Well, there's a wrong assumption in there. It's not because it's the night that you are away from Venus. To the contrary, if you see Venus in the night, that means Venus is above your part of the Earth. Now, you have to understand the sun. You are at night on Earth because the sun is not above your part of the Earth, but the sun is at a triangular position. So the sun, Venus, and you form a triangle. So the sun can send light to Venus, and the light can be reflected to Earth without you seeing the sun. That's because you're involved in a triangle and Venus is acting as a mirror.
Yeah, I got a question for you, JF.
Yep.
Okay, so I saw this. Now this isn't an original idea. I saw this video of this guy who, just like everyone else that's a flat earther, used to believe in the globe, and he was an attorney. Like he said, he'd won lots of cases at law. And, you know, so he's pretty well-educated guy anyway. And he said, if you take off from the North Pole in an airplane and you fly all the way around the globe to the South Pole, at that point, really, you should be upside down. So how is it that we don't perceive ourselves as being right side up or upside down on the globe? How do you explain if you were to leave the North Pole, fly all the way around the globe and land in the South Pole? How is it that we don't perceive ourselves as being inverted?
That's because our perception of inversion is relying on the sense of gravity. So it relies on parts of our ears, which contain a little liquid and some crystals, and we have hairs that detect the sense of gravity. Ultimately, it's a gravity detector. Now, because you go around the Earth, you are always in a position where the down part of you, the direction of the gravity is from your head to your feet. But you've went on a curved trajectory to maintain that sense. You've not advanced straight, in other words. When you go from the North Pole to the South Pole, you're doing a circle arc.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious for your answer.
Yep.
So why do you guys think it is that this has taken off? Like I've explained what I think the flat Earth is. I don't really think it's just that suddenly, well, in my opinion, a bunch of people woke up to the idea that we've been deceived about the nature of the place that we live. And whereas you guys would probably see it, I guess, is like thousands upon thousands of people suddenly have turned stupid or become naive or how do you explain it? Because it's not like that. I don't think that guy was lying about being a lawyer. I used to be a professional wheelchair technician. I've got a good job as an artist. My IQ definitely is not 80. I'm not an idiot. So
is it 110?
114, Andy. There's about
Fuck!
Well, I took the same test you guys did.
Well, I explain it the same. The reason why would people start believing in flat Earth? There's a diversity of brains on Earth. So I explain it in the same way. There's a diversity of religions. There are many religions. Many of them are totally contradictory to each other, in the sense that if one of them is right, the other would automatically be wrong. And so why is there billions of people believing in Islam? Why is there hundreds of millions of people believing in Buddhism or Catholicism? One of these groups have to be wrong, if not all the groups. So I see it that in the same way. There's going to be people who have a brain that is preferentially attracted to flat Earth ideas. So it's normal that these ideas will spread. Our brain have not evolved to spread the truth. They have evolved to spread stuff that our genes, for some reason, find are most likely to lead to our reproduction.
I think that it's someone had a theory and told a few people, and then one guy was like, and then it's like with conspiracies that, there are some conspiracies that make sense with a lot of the evidence, but it's sort of like one person says something and then the next person will say something and then it just spreads and people start, it's like almost like, I don't want to be offensive here, but like a cult. Someone says something that people start believing, not in like a negative cult way where you're all making people drink bleach to fucking prove that the earth is flat. It's like a mind, it's like a meme. Like a meme. A meme is something that's spread and then everyone just starts spreading it. But instead of being a meme that's just about comedy, it's about what they believe is real. Like
so you guys don't think that that this was a planned bring out of the flat Earth by some, like, by intelligence agencies or by someone behind the scenes? You think that this is actually it's literally a meme, like it's just organic, like Pepe caught on, and now there's lots of Pepes. So flat Earth caught on. Eric Dubay said it enough times that everybody started looking at it. And because I don't believe that. I think that they brought it out as a dividing tool to make it so that we're more at odds with each other, because that's what's going to move us in the long run towards an overlying system of control, both legally and psychologically.
Unless we have evidence for a conspiracy, I would assume it's a meme. It has spread because some people were in it because they actually believed it. Some people might be in it because they just have fun trolling. It will survive as long as there's people recording the information and passing it on.
I think there's enough polarization with a lot of things that you can make that that assumption that you're saying about them trying to break us apart. I think there's enough polarizing things with religion and politics itself that the flat earth thing isn't I'm not gonna, for example, Joe Rogan's buddies with Eddie Bravo, and Eddie Bravo is a firm believer in the flat earth, and they have arguments about this, right? But they're still buddies.
I've seen a little bit of it, yeah.
Whereas that's just about a belief of the earth, right? Whereas politics, someone who's far left won't want to be friends with someone from the far right for X, Y, and Z reason, because it's so juxtaposed with what they believe. Whereas the flat earth is just a theory on where we live.
I see people fighting and arguing and being contentious a lot around the flat earth, sometimes even more than politics, because that's what it, that's why I appreciate this conversation is straight up. You guys aren't trying to be ridiculing and talking down to me. I know that you think I'm fucking crazy or stupid or something, but you're not expressing it. So that's kind of you, I certainly am not trying to be that way towards you. Like, oh my God, wake up, fucking blood sports, wake up, flat earth, but this is what you see in all the conversations and chat. And you see people really divided, My own mom was making fun of me on Facebook the other day because I'm a flat earther.
No, I'm not sure I even understand. You are saying that the flat earth movement would have been seeded for the purpose of creating conflict between people. But doesn't that make you a puppet of the conspiracy? Aren't you acting in line with this conspiracy of
Oh,
disagreement?
absolutely. Well, I am, but I'm also aware of it so that I'm not willing to be contentious or take it as a hill to die on. I don't take any hill as a hill to die on because I judge people on the content of their character and the redundancy of it. That's what I consider to be like I saw the other day, JF, somebody asked you, don't you believe in innocent until proven guilty, and you said yes, and then they tried to catch you up. But innocent until proven guilty works for the courts and for the authorities, but it doesn't work on who you meet. If I meet a guy in a club and he seems cool, okay, he seems cool. After the third drink, if he turns into a fucking asshole, then I know not to trust him, right? And I probably expected him to do that anyway if we had never met or knew each other.
Continuing on the Venus super chat, Brendan sends us $10 again.
Thanks, man.
He says, "Hey JF, I appreciate the answers. I'm not sure I understand fully how triangulation works, but I would like to look it up and potentially change my view. Link, I love the show and I love asking questions. To understand triangulation, you don't even need a link. Go into a dark room. Light up one lamp that will light the wall, and then put your hands like this, hiding the sides of your eyes. Now go into an orientation so that you don't see the lamp at all, but you do see the spot on the wall still. This proves that you don't need to see the illuminating object. You only need to see the objects that are being illuminated by the light source. You don't need to see a light source for seeing an illuminated object. And that's what's happening to Venus. In our metaphor, the sun is the lamp, Venus is the wall, and you are the observer on Earth.
Damn. That's cool.
Yeah, and that's also why in a club, you can have all the club being dark, but you can see a spotlight lighting the floor in purple. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Oh, JF singing. I must have lost. I think I lost. Now JF singing.
Fuck, man. Here, let me just pound through a few more super chats, and I guess, are you guys good? Do you want to do more? Or?
Oh, I could go on. I could go on longer, but we don't have to.
I mean,
I don't feel
it's
like
up to you guys.
You certainly haven't brought me back to the globe. I don't see any evidence of curvature. I've looked and looked for 3 years. I don't understand how a vacuum of space works next to the supposedly the atmosphere and the vacuum are right next to each other, whereas a real vacuum, I work with a vacuum at work. It's part of the process of making art is to use a vacuum for the mold making material. A vacuum is sealed. If it's not sealed, then the atmosphere disperses. So that's a great question I have. If you want to, let's see, if you wanted to cover that, then you read the other super chats. We could call it.
Yeah, if you want to go through the super chat, then we can go through proper concluding statements.
Sure.
And all of these details, we can argue them in a future debate. It was a cool conversation.
It's fantastic.
We can take it back at another time.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I love this. Okay, let me pound through some, and then we could stop and talk about ones that we want to talk about. Let me know when you want me to stop. So we got, okay, here it is. Fructer, enthusiast, $2. NASA is a Nazi pedo conspiracy. Wake up. Barack's X912, $10. Google midnight sun weather or polar night. I've always wondered how a flat earther would explain how certain areas can have what is basically internal night or internal day on certain days. Did you answer that, or about some places?
Like I said, that would be back to the idea of our very controversial and different model of it being a projected sun, two projected suns. So that and that there's actually an interesting piece of footage I found of a pilot who's a flat earther, and he did an interview, and he reported watching the sunset, and then what appeared like was going to be a sunrise way too soon, like it was only 2 hours later, and then it went away. And then the sun rose in the east, 6 or 7 hours after that. So So,
All right.
you know, if with a projection of two suns through a lens in the top above the square flat Earth, you can explain a lot of things, but it's not easy to describe. It's hard to describe even with graphics, and we're working on it. You know, there's guys working on an actual model, a functional model of all of this. So.
All right, more news, $5. Can you explain how the faces of the moon changes if it's not the Earth's shadow? I don't think it's the Earth's shadow, isn't it?
He's talking about solar. He's talking about
solar
the Earth
eclipse. Yes, the eclipse.
eclipsing. Yeah.
I thought he meant like
talking
the
about
full
shadow
moon.
eclipse.
Yeah. All right. The bad virus, 20 pounds. The Earth only has form within the context of the decoding brain. In its true form, it's merely just energy. I read that one before. Thank you, Bad Virus. Joshua Larson, $2. When I drive my car, everything moves except me. There you go, because you're moving at a speed, so you keep at that speed. Base Keckbot, $5. Here it is. You're like, how could we be moving on the Earth and like at that speed? When you're on an airplane, you're going extraordinarily fast. In your mind, then we should be like, yeah, like the entire time. No, you're just like, because we're moving at that speed, so your body starts moving at the speed at the same time as the vehicle is moving at that speed. So now you're both moving at the same speed.
That was actually Einstein's point when he said there's no experiment that has proven that the Earth is currently moving. It's that we don't feel speed, we feel acceleration. We feel changes of speed, not speed.
Also, someone in the
Jeff, you subscribe to and believe in the theories of Einstein?
Yes, I don't know that they are the end theory. I think there might be in the future a theory of gravitation, quantum gravity that could undermine some theories of Einstein, particularly in black holes. But in general, I think it's a great description outside of black holes of what's happening in the universe.
Are you aware of the accusation against him of being a plagiarist?
I keep seeing that he plagiarized his wife. I've never met a woman who can even understand the equations of Einstein. So I would love to see that a woman has actually invented them.
No, there's an author you might take a look at, JF, if you're curious. His name's Christopher John Bjerknes. You know, and he's probably the most outspoken opponent of Einstein as far as the plagiarism tip. Now, the guy, have you guys watched this guy Ken Wheeler do his magnetism stuff on YouTube? He's a bald guy with tattoos all over his arms.
Is it the guy who bends spoon?
No. He's no. I saw that one of the guys that was involved with that Convex Earth documentary was a spoon bender like Uri Geller or whatever. But this guy's name's Ken Wheeler. His name on YouTube is Theoria Apophasis, and he's got really controversial information he's bringing out about magnetism, and he completely shits all over Einstein, and I think he's right. I think that light is actually a coaxial circuit. I don't believe that light travels in photons. You know, that light is identified to us as a wave. So your eye, you could almost say that your eyes feel light, they don't see them. You could even go so far as to say that light doesn't quote unquote exist. That it's a noumena. It's not phenomena. It's noumena. I assume you understand what I mean.
So you're saying, like, the way I understand light and the way it travels is the stars that we're looking at up there, those are stars in the past because the light is only hitting us, you know, like thousands or whatever, like years later, because it has to travel, right, JF?
Oh yeah, but that doesn't because SB's statements are not even in contradiction with our current theories of light.
Okay,
we acknowledge that
light
is
travel.
An electromagnetic ray.
But
so
he said
light
it doesn't
is an
travel,
alternation between an electric and a magnetic field that travels at the speed of light or slower when it's in a medium that contains other stuff. There's nothing in what SB has stated that undermines any of our current theory of light.
But he said it doesn't travel.
Well, how does it not travel, SB? We do see that if I light up a lamp, it travels from the lamp to my eyes.
Well, it's the circuit is on and your eye is detecting it, but I wouldn't say, there's not photons shooting out of the lamp isn't emitting photons to your eye. Like your
I
eye's
mean,
going to fill up and then you have to dump it out, like too many photons in your eye.
the identity of light as photon is not even necessary for. I mean, we acknowledge that there's what we call the wave particle duality. And so, yes, it's a wave when it travels. Yes, we can conceive of it as a photon when it arrives. We know this is integrated in our current theory of light. That's why I'm saying this is not contradictory.
Okay, so let me ask you this question then: How is it that that light speeds up again when it say it travels through water? It slows down 25%, right? That should be close to the, I think, or say if it travels through a pane of glass, it's 35. I don't remember the numbers exactly. So how is it slowing down and then speeding up again and arriving to where it is if it's not just it's just a coaxial circuit, in my opinion. It's not a traveling object. It's not a thing.
Well, it doesn't slow
But what
down.
does that even mean, a coaxial circuit?
The same as the cable that's bringing the internet to your house.
But what does that mean? I mean, do you mean that there are metallic cables in the air allowing the light to pass? What is the material in which this cable is made?
It's a field. Light's a field perturbation. It's back to the theory of the ether or counter space, or they want to call it dark matter. All the stuff that they say we haven't figured it out yet, but we're trying. Counter space.
But this is using different words, but I think it's actually the current theory of light travel, that it relies on quantum field that provide the electromagnetic property to the universe around us. So the idea that it's relying on fields is not controversial. Of course, there has to be fields involved in giving the electromagnetic property.
Okay, so how do we define a field then?
I'm not even an expert on that, but from my understanding, quantum fields, it's essentially it's an hypothesized universal property that exists at many points in the universe that provides some property. And I think they make up a quantum field for every property that we discover. And from my understanding, it includes, for example, the Higgs boson field. It includes any of the field that provide the possibility for particles to exist in these spots.
Okay. So yeah, at that point, I'd say that we're essentially close to disagreeing only on semantics until we would get to the next level.
Yeah.
I would call it the ether or a perturbation in the inertial plane, whereas you would call it a quantum field. So
exactly.
All right, let's pound through some more there. Where was I here? Sorry, there we go. Joshua Larson, $2. When I drive, everything moves. Oh yeah, sorry, I read that one. Where did I? Oh, here we go. Joshua Larson, $2. Cath boys have the most mass. Ren Internio, $2. Earth is flat and the moon jumps. Just nuke us all. Emilio Costello, $5. War, they won't accept that answer because they define gravity differently. Honest attempt. Try again. We are only as good as our best measuring tool. Tom, $5. So explain how the moon can be setting in one time zone and be at its apex in another time zone. How does that align with a moon jump? Done. You could think about that. You could think about that. For this enthusiast, $2. Warski's girl should get a flat Earth tramp stamp. Callie.
Don't do it, Sinead.
Yeah. Callie was here. 79% pounds, whatever that's called. Thank you very much. Cybico6, $2. Why is this unified system bad? They seem smarter. Callie was here, £2. There are flat earthers all around the globe. Around the tube news, $2. Have you asked about Elon Musk's live stream yet? I think there was something about.
I don't think Elon Musk will come on.
No, Elon Musk did like a live stream or something. He said he was gonna buy Facebook and delete it, but apparently that was a hoax. Paul Joseph Watson, stop spreading fake news and getting fucked in the ass.
It's not gonna happen. Little Alex Jones cuckboy.
Tim Chappelle, $10. Al Franken is the senator that was dismissed. Swan Kelly, $2. Andy, did you just get a haircut? You look handsome. I did. Thank you very much. Emilio Costello, $5. Those who control pop culture control the people. Why else would politicians use Hollywood for propaganda? This went off topic. Bring it full circle. Brandon Hansen, $5. Oi Goyam. It's not the Jews, it's those Templars. Play more Assassin's Creed. This guy is way overthinking it. Ethan Pletcher, $2. Boat disappears as it leaves. First body, then mass. Done. Doctor, I have to stop hitting my hand. It hurts. Dr. Valiant's $2. Andy AIU has doxed people, fam. I think he was praising the doxes of one guy, but after he was called out, he stopped. Everyone fucks up from time to time, and we have to see how people change their actions in the future from learning from past mistakes. 110 IQ people, by the way. Mithridate, 20 sec. AIU, God King is no doxer, just like V in Sargon. RP, $5. The people who believe Jews control everything are no different than the people who claim white people oppress all non-white people. But when we see 80% of the media being ran by a certain person, that's different. I don't know, JF.
I'm sorry. I was
No,
reading.
I'll chime in on that too. Andy's right. Okay. So is there evidence for lots of Jewish influence in media, in government? There is. It's there. So it's not something you can be like, oh, now you're just being paranoid. Well, it's not paranoid. If Jews say they run Hollywood, then that's all well and good. But if we say it, now we're anti-Semites, and that's true across the board. And I would bring that back to E. Michael Jones. I think you guys would. He wrote a book called The Jewish Revolutionary Spirit, which explains why he believes that the Jews reject the logos of the world, and of course he's a Catholic guy. I like E. Michael Jones, but I'm not a Catholic. He's a really staunch Catholic guy. But his explanation is that, they rejected logos at the crucifixion. And so that from that point on, they've become revolutionary against truth in general, so that they just always have to stir up shit. I don't know if I would take it that far, but they definitely exist in Hollywood, in banking, in corporations. There's huge advocacy for the state of Israel. I mean, these things aren't something you can disprove.
Mm-hmm. And it's not the same as SJW saying that white people oppress people. It's like
no, not even close.
Yeah.
They're organized and it's not SJWs is a new thing.
Tell me how we oppress them by existing, essentially, to the ones who are sensitive little bitches. God, you SJWs are fucking dumb retards. I hate them.
Andy is back to old Andy.
Oh no,
I'll move on. I could explain that to you, Andy. It's because they stopped giving anybody any ground and basic in logic, and everyone's emotional now.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It's emotional based. So now you're and it's true that women are more emotionally grounded than men, and so now they've got everyone ramped up to more emotion. So the women are even more emotional than they would have been, and the men are more emotional than they'd have ever would have been, and so then the logic doesn't work.
No, you know what it is?
They're not reasonable.
I find that being a victim has become a currency in our society.
It's disgusting, but it's true.
So oh, I was this, I was that, da da da. I'm not white. I'm this. It's like you're collecting currency to now, tell people what to do, or say that the people are worse than you because they're the victim. So I can't fucking no. I don't want to hear that shit. Anyway, where were we? We went off base a little bit there. Here we go. Damien Della Herta, $5. Reverse the scale. Does he believe blood cells exist even though he cannot see them? And if we show a picture of cells, does he think that they are flat?
I think that guy's just trolling. Of course, I believe blood cells exist. That's easy to verify.
Microscopes. Mitch, but telescopes. Gotcha. Mitch Laurie, $10. Can JF debate the hollow Earth.
What is even the meaning of hollow? I don't even know that because I'm a Frenchman. Hollow definition.
Oh, hollow
Have you
is
never seen the Hollow Earth, JF? Have you never seen the guy?
Okay.
well, hollow is
No,
like
no, I
imagine
know
a
what it is.
sphere that the inside's
Because
empty.
one guy on the last show talked to us about it, and I just asked, what happens if you step on the North Pole? Do you fall into an infinite black hole or something? To me, the hollow Earth is without significance.
I agree.
Blunderbuss, $2. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. Blazing Silver, $5. The 2017 Nobel Prize winners in physics proved gravity with LIGO by detecting gravitational waves. Also, SB, do you believe in atoms and element?
No, I don't believe in atoms. I don't. I won't lie. No, I don't.
Oh my
That's
God.
what makes everything. SB. Sorry for yelling. I apologize.
No, I don't believe that. I studied Walter Russell and found his theories to be much more cohesive with what I experience in the world. Walter Russell's theory is, well, it's more back to what we were talking about a minute ago with me and JF talking about coaxial. It's more, everything's waves. Everything's waves, like waves of light in a way that's it's convoluted. It's not easy to understand. There's no such thing as atoms. You go look up a picture of an atom. There's no such thing as an atom. You can't find a photograph of it.
Isn't the atom the thing after the wave?
I'm finally getting under JF's skin.
Wait, isn't it like okay? I might be fucking retarded here. I might just lose some IQ here. Okay, isn't string theory what you're talking about? The waves that create the atoms, and the atoms create the next thing, that create the next thing, etc., etc. Isn't that how it works? Atoms are just the next step in string theory.
Well, I'd say string theory and
it's like the thing you're talking about, the waves or whatever.
Quantum physics are two different things.
But then the atom is the thing that creates the material to create matter.
No, I'd say everything's held in place by the vibration of waves, man. It's not. It's manifest here by the vibration of waves. I'm sure that sounds stupid, but that atomism is just a cult from the time of the ancient Greeks. It's the same bullshit they've been peddling since back then. Now it's a false theory of metaphysics. It's actually where the whole idea of the Earth being a sphere came from. Is from those times, and they've just slowly developed it and worked on it over thousands of years. If you believe it's been that long, to confirm all of the theories that they made, it's all one set of confirmation bias on their part after another, combined with hoaxes, psyops, and a bunch of culture creation to hide it all from you, to hide the real realm from you.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know
Again, is that it's all waves. Yes, you can have a wave theory of electrons and positrons. Yes, but it doesn't change the fact that these things, whatever you call them, waves or particles, they gather in nuclei that have a certain number of positrons. They gather in nuclei that have a certain number of electrons. And when you have an electrical discharge in a wire, it's electrons coming from the atoms of some side to the atoms of the other side. We know that from how batteries work. And so saying that it's all wave is not even contradictory to understanding to our current understanding of particles.
Cool. I like, by the way, everyone's calling me Adam Worski, or Adam Korksky.
Hey, what's up with that, by the way, Andy? Is your real name Adam or something? I see that. I've always wondered. Adam versus Andy. I know they call
Mr. Medicare on his first video about Kraut and Tea talked about me, and he knew he made a mistake with my name the first time I ever met him on a stream. And I told him, no, my name's Andy. So on his video, he called me Adam just to piss me off.
That makes sense that it would be Jim's fault.
Okay. Yeah. Here we go. Sin Rise, $5. There are several articles written about how they had to take into account the curvature of the Earth when building the LHC. All right. Gabriel R, $5. Both are wrong. The Earth is round, and God created it in less than an instant. Evolution is also wrong. Sorry, it did that thing, that scrolling thing, when it just fucking throws me down here. Here we go. God, I hate when it does that. Balls Monkey, $2. It's all conspiracy by the globe making industry. Cassie B, $2. Am I having a stroke? This can't be real. Lady Sagehawk, $2. The Earth is obviously a tesseract. Brendan Hansen, that was the one that you were debating him with. Thank you so much for donating. We really appreciate it, buddy. Jack Carden, £5. But what is your evidence that the moon is a projection? Well, observable phenomena are easier to explain in a flat Earth model.
Well, you can take photography of the moon by synchronizing one person north of and one person south of the equator, and one person taking the photo during the day and one person taking the photo during the night, and you get the exact same picture. Only one is more inverted than the other. So the moon appears to be mirrored, and it doesn't make any sense that you're getting the exact same. You're getting it in the darkness and in the light. It's hanging in the sky on all sides with either darkness or light behind it. And the light, you can't see the full circle of the moon. In the darkness, we've all experienced looking at the crescent moon, and you can still see the image or the shadow or whatever you want to call it. You can see the roundness of the moon in the dark is blocking stars, and it's revealing itself there. In the daytime, you can essentially see right through the moon. It looks like, it takes on the same color as the sky. Mm-hmm. So it appears to me there's two moons in those pictures. If you're in Florida in the daytime, and say you're in Australia at night, you both point your cameras up in the air. You're on Facebook or YouTube or in chat together. You say 3, 2, 1, go, boom. You both take the picture. You both upload it. You're not looking apparently at the same thing.
But where's you said there was 4 moons though.
You only ever see 2 at a time.
Sorry. Skaz, £2. Google flight path map. Why no straight lines? Tony Cannoli, $2. GPS data on phones run from cell signal. So that would be what JF was saying, that the cell signal has to hit a tower to receive the information to make the satellite, the GPS work. I'll have to search this. I'll have to research this. I'm going to start reading, JF. Are you
to
proud of me?
clarify, cell phones work from towers, as far as I know, and GPS systems work from satellites. Satellites are just sending rays, and if you catch 2 of these rays, you can triangulate your position on Earth. As far as I know, that's how it works. Now, you can have some cell phones try to guess your location by connecting to the internet and finding some way through the IP system. I don't know exactly how they do, but they guess your position, but that's not GPS.
All right, we're almost done here. We're at home stretch, I believe. Jolly Roger Bear, $5. Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer. The Earth is that Dedacadrion, and Andy's fapping after the stream. Brandon Hansen was the other one, $25. Thank you again for that, man. Totally not a troll. 10 PLN. Why Flat Earth took out someone's testing shilling. This is only a test, $5. I haven't watched yet, but I bet this was painful. Thank you for your service. I have to say, this was less painful than I thought it would be, because you're a cool dude.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no worries, dude. And
I'll come back anytime, and it doesn't have to be about
we'll disagree. We'll yell at each other for a second, but I don't need another enemy. I've burned enough bridges. Elizabeth Lurker, $5. Great show, Andy. Happy Easter to all who celebrate Easter in the chat. Take care and God bless. Bike Pierce, $5. Flat Earth is a critique on the scientific method. It is a thought exercise to demonstrate flaws in contemporary epistemology. Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. I agree with this.
All right. Hans Kruger, $2. Bring on Eric Dubé. We have to look for this guy. Brendan Hansen, $10 was his last one responds to you. That was a good talk there you guys had. James Demore, $10. Nice work getting Ian from Forgotten Weapons on the stream, Andy and JF. Question for Ian: what are your thoughts on the M1 Grand Garand, and why have you cut your hair? So I guess you look like some actor or some guy on a show. Toast Stone, $5. Have you guys looked up Wallace Thornhill and the electric universe theory?
No.
I've heard of it, but I have never studied it. I've heard of it, but that's it.
All right. Curdy, £2. I want to know what his full flat earth theory is. We've explained it the whole show. Jesse Lebry, $5. How can he say that the sun is a projection from beyond after he said that he doesn't believe in space and beyond the earth?
Well, it's not that I don't believe that there's something beyond the earth. I just don't believe in space as they've proscribed it to us. You know, I don't believe that NASA or the other space agencies or the Hubble telescope are giving us an honest depiction of what's out there. I think they're hiding what's really out there. I'm not saying that there's nothing out there at all. You know,
All
and
right.
if people want to know more, just look up Enoch Flat Earth. And look for Enoch Square Flat Earth, and you know the model's out there. You'll find it. It's not very popular, you know, but I think it's more accurate than the other models. And there's if you want disproof of the circle model, I would look up Richard Kahlberg, is a pretty popular guy who did a decent video that shows that the circle flat Earth map is just doesn't work, it doesn't line up.
All right. And by the way, if you're watching, remember to hit like, help support the show. And later on tonight, I will be on the Purple Dragon. I have it linked down there. It's real, by the way. People are like, oh, this is, I thought you were trolling. No, it's a real, I actually beat my Super Mario World speedrun record yesterday. And the channel's doing pretty well. So thank you everyone for supporting. And I also have SB's link in his Twitter link. You have a website too, right?
No, I don't actually right now.
That one that you have linked to your Twitter then. What was that then?
That's a website that I started to put up and I never did, and I just never pulled the link out of there. So that'll just take you to a placeholder or to nothing. It's nothing there. So.
All right, cool. So I'll follow SB. We'll definitely have him on in the future.
Yeah, hit me up on Twitter, or I've got a YouTube too. SB Alger on YouTube as well. So it's mostly just me playing the guitar.
Oh, I didn't see your link there. If you want to just put it in the side chat here, I'll throw it in the chat right now, in the description bar. Let's see. So it's you. It's only you playing music.
Well, it's just like, I mean, I just sometimes I'll get a wild hair at my ass and throw a song on there or something. Like I've been playing the guitar and singing for a long time. I actually wrote a Flat Earth song. You can find a song on there I wrote about the Flat Earth.
I want to hear that.
I mean, I'll go grab the guitar and play it live for you right now.
Yo, do it. Do it.
Really?
You grab the guitar. We're almost done
grab,
super chats, and we'll end on Flat Earth song.
All right, I'll mute my mic and go.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
He's gonna do a song about the flat Earth.
Yeah, we're almost done. Here, I'll pound through the rest of super chats, and then we'll hear their song. Hans Kruger, $2 says Eric Dubé is in the chat. Bring him on. Eric, email me. Let's talk. Galtz, Andy Warski at Gmail. Galtz Gooch, $2. What are your guys' opinions about the Holocaust? In the future, we'll probably talk about that. CS or the Holocaust, because Hollow Earth. Yeah. CS, $10. I do want an answer on this. When aiming the V2 at London from Holland, they had to factor in the curvature of the Earth to get an accurate shot. Why must they have done this? Because the Earth is round. Azurkul, $5, flying through space at 55,000 miles an hour, spinning faster than the speed of sound. Why don't we fly off like water on a spinning tennis ball? Because we existed on the Earth as it was spinning, so we have always been moving this speed. Am I being retarded here, JF?
I mean, we are at a point of equilibrium where the sun is pulling us enough toward it, and there's no reason why we would be pushed away. So we are at a point of equilibrium between a centrifugal force versus a gravity force. So every planet that is in a stable orbit has reached that equilibrium.
And if the Earth stopped spinning, we'd be fucked. it would
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
I think Vsauce has a video. What if the Earth stops spinning? It's a really cool video. It does some CG in it too to show examples. Yeah. Brad Homonym, $10. Your guests, Akum's razor is blunt. Count all the assumptions you have to make to get to his premise, including my mid-blowing cover-ups created for no real reason that I can think of. D Warbucks, $5. Okay, flat Earth guy. I live in Wisconsin. Why can't I see the shores of Michigan if I look across Lake Michigan with a high-powered telescope? Whenever I hit the table, by the way, it means like we win. Jandis, and we're gonna hear his song about flat Earth in a second. Almost done here. Jandis, $5. Continuing CS's point. Does SB have a rebuttal for the colorist effect? Renta Puri, $2. How does color works in his model of light? Oh, hang on, it did that scroll thing. Oh, no, we're almost done here. Joshua Larson, $5. The only thing flat earthers have to fear is fear itself. It's sphere itself. Templin to Euro. SB's IQ is 114, but quantum theory requires 120 plus 125. Bill the Butcher, $5. The powers that be, Jews, Freemasons, etc., worship Satan, Saturn, which they believe controls the physical reality we live in and gives them power. Pop TV, what's up, man? It's been a while. $5. I'm glad this is going. I'm having a shitty day. Great distraction. Thank you very much. Joshua Larson, $5. Why are we wasting all this time, Andy? With that 110 IQ, you should be so far above the clouds that you can tell us the Earth is flat or not. Fisted Wizard, $5. Why can't you see Mount Everest from your bedroom with a telescope? Good point. Old world. Sorry. Oh my God. I was reading the word. Old World Media, $2. SB is causing us cancer. Zemeckis Lebowski, $2. Great stream. I would be screaming out loud. Koa, $5. The song better be better than Al Gore's stupid environmental poem. And Alexandru Kohank, £2. You don't need to spin in order to be in orbit. And with that, you ready to hear this song?
SB, are you ready to sing?
Yeah, SB, unmute yourself and whenever
Yeah, there
you're
we
ready.
go. Am I unmuted?
There you go.
All right.
Flat Earth song. Let's Kronos, get this
get-
clipped.
That's right. Yeah, make me famous, Kronos, for better or worse. Does that sound all right?
Yep.
Here, I'm gonna lower your. Hey, wait. JF, lower his volume a little bit,
Okay.
just so it's like maybe by 20%.
I'll give you it here. I'll probably like.
There, yeah, that's good.
Is that
All right, that's good. That's good.
All right. Perfect.
All right. Okay, so the day I came back, back online and started thinking about conspiracy shit again was 11/16/2015. That's the song, the title of the song, and listen careful for the words because you guys will appreciate it. So this explains everything about flat Earth in just about 3 minutes.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. But today I remember that I'd forgotten the Earth was flat. Really can't tell you just how I feel about that. All this time wasted thinking I'm standing on a ball, when the truth is I have no balls at all. Because this turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down. This turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down. Well, it's all about Jews and Masons wearing silly hats, fucking lying, warning, cheating, based on where their fathers sat. The kidnap and enslave the indigenous, get them all spun out, smoking smack, replace that yin. Until this turtle's all the way down, this turtle's all the way down, fall flat. They'll switch to CGI, but they never switch it back. There's no pictures of the Earth or other galaxies. No satellites in the sky like flies or gravity. Because this turtle's all the way down. This turtle's all the way down. And you've been played for a clown. This turtle's all the way down. This turtle's all the way down. And their fool's heads wearing the crown. And their fool's heads wearing the crown. All right, it's been a great show. Happy Easter.
Yo, that was actually
April Fools.
that was actually really good, dude. I liked it.
Hey, I've been playing and writing songs for a long time. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate that.
Yo, on the side chat here, just put your link there for your channel, because like people in the chat were at first were like, oh, this is gonna be cringy, but that was actually like a really catchy song. I liked it, and I'd like to hear it in a better quality, and I'll link it right now, man. And you should put your link to your YouTube in your Twitter bio, by the way.
Hey, I know my homie that helped me do a really good recording of that. He messaged me in DMs and said he was in the chat, and he still has never gotten me my best copy of the quality of that. So if you're out there, Jakob, I still need my copy that we recorded at the studio. Since it's, this is typical with music producers. Any of you guys that know music producers and engineers, they do a great job and they never give you your shit, even if you pay them. Yeah, so that's shout out to Jakob for still sitting on my track.
Here, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I know people in the chat are legitimately like, that was actually really good. So, yo, man, like, and everyone's saying, everyone's saying, even they might freaking disagree with you. They are, they think you were a fun guest. It's SB Alger, right?
Yeah, that's me. Absolutely.
All right, perfect. I'm gonna link you. I'll subscribe as well. Everyone, let's get him. You're only at 41 subs because you haven't posted too much. It's just your music stuff. So
So let's get if people pile in there and start messaging me, I will make content for people to whatever degree I can. No matter what it is. If people want to jump in and interact and get with me on YouTube, I will totally blow that up because I love it. That's why I did this, because to not to promote myself, but because it was fun. The idea that nobody was jumping up and saying, I'll go debate the flat earth, Okay, so nobody was doing it. I figure, well, I could do it. And then if I do and people want to make it more live and more fun, I'm down, man.
I think today's episode was fucking fantastic in my opinion. JF, how do you feel?
Yeah, it was great. I'm not convinced by the flat earth, but we ended up hashing out why I'm not convinced and why you should still believe that the earth is round. There's still no explanation for tides, Andy, and therefore Papa JF remains with his belief. He has not been satisfied.
Beautiful. And by the way, I hope you all enjoyed what I was doing the whole show. I don't know, JF, if you were watching. I was legitimately changing cameras the entire time. And it's the fade and the whoever was talking, I focused. When you had a nice reaction, I would like put on your face over hit. You know what I mean? So I hope
it's really nice. It's too bad that we cannot see it from the hangout, but I'll be watching the show to see you at play on the production side.
The entire show. People in the chat, let me know what you think. I'm gonna keep improving my production skills, and like it was a lot more work. There was like a hard parts where I was trying to talk, but I had to like change the camera while I'm talking. So I'm on my toes the entire time, which I like because it keeps me.
I've been wanting to compliment you on that. I was gonna pick on you a little bit because I know JF, when your guys' little tiff, he called you lazy. And then I sent you 2 emails. I added you about a dozen times on Twitter trying to get you to follow me.
Checks my emails.
You never did.
Chris checks my emails.
But what I was going to say is that you do an excellent job of producing while you're on the air, because there's a lot of shows and shit that I watch that it's like their production values are so bad. Like one guy's only this loud and the other guy's it's really loud or whatever. So you guys do a great job of, because I know you don't have an engineer. If you do, I don't know, you've never mentioned it.
Well, if you watch, I don't know if you were watching live, but today I'm trying to make this podcast a podcast you want to watch visually. And I think that The shifting of the cameras is very like I didn't make them too abrupt, and I mean I like people are saying high IQ video production. So thank you all for that's gonna be the new meme.
And the next debate on internet blood sports,
Wednesday.
SB Alger against Hi, I Think I'm Real on whether Andy Warski is the worst YouTuber of all time.
No, I like on a channel I didn't promote that much, which is the Purple Dragon. I didn't promote. People thought it was a joke. It's actually doing better than a lot of old buddies of mine on their live shows on a channel that's existed for 3 days. So I'm very proud of that. And just a couple of super chats came in while we were talking. They're almost done though. Alexander Kohiek, 2 pounds. You don't need to spin in order to be in orbit. Broadster, what's up, Broadster? Vlad, how you doing? $10. He wrote, woo lad. Shad Sibikin, $2. Thank you. Mr. Nicktown, $10. Could we solve this by having one person in America take a photo of the sky while north is up, and later that day someone in China does the same where north is up, and compare constellations? Kyle,
well, there's a lot more we could get into on constellations and stuff. I mean, you can't.
we should do it with Dubai. What was his name? Doughboy.
Eric Dubay. If you
Eric
guys, I
Dubay.
mean, Eric Dubay is like the main guy that. I mean, that's if there was going to be a de facto leader of the whole flat Earth movement, it would definitely be Eric Dubay. So if you want to up your ante and debate Eric Dubay, then you can. So I'm sure he'd probably come on there and do it. You know,
this is beautiful. Look, on Wednesday, Halsey versus Ryan Dawson. Friday, David Sharat versus Millennial Woes. Millennial Woes, you have to do it. If Millennial Woes doesn't do it, that's gonna make me sad.
I'm gonna DM Millennial Woes and we'll see if we can get him. I'm sure he will.
Yep, and then we'll try and set up some more. Awesome, that's great. Cowo writes, needs more cowbell. Alex, I have done the research. Jones, $2. Holy shit, this guy is master flattard. The incredible Aspie, what's going on, Aspie? $5. I'm a musician. Tell him to talk to me. Incredible Aspie is this guy with Asperger's who plays music on YouTube. He's a cool dude. And Alex,
I'll hit him up.
Yeah. And Alex, I've done my research. Jones, last one, $2. Stop boasting. Try not to be lazy, Andy. I am the hardest working person in the past week that you've ever seen. That was a fun show. I had a blast, guys. Everyone,
Yes.
Remember, hit like.
Me too. Thanks for having me, man. I want to shout out to my girlfriend. She's on vacation. If she's still listening, I love you, baby.
Do you watch porn while she's gone?
Hell yeah, man. She doesn't
Fuck
care.
yeah, I like it. I'm on
She's not all tripping like your girlfriend is, you know. Or no, not your girlfriend. It was the other girl. I'm sorry,
Brittany
Sinead. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. But Brittany Venti, you know. Oh, if you do porn, then you could fuck me, then you're emotionally cheating. Get out of here with that shit.
She said that porn is for ugly people.
It's just bullshit. Porn. It's not sex. It's something different. But you know, and I agree, Andy, that if you're doing it too much, it is redundant. You're jacking off all the time. Stupid. That's not good. You should stop.
I like this guy.
Totally support. I've done NoFap for a month before. You know, it's worth it.
I'm breaking NoFap tonight. Last one, Kyler, $5. If the Earth is flat, plain like Mobius strip, what's underground? What is under the Earth? What's beyond the limits of the sky? Food for thought. And we'll end with that. Thank you all for watching Warski Live. We'll see y'all later. Peace.
Bye-bye.